Boom! Let's do it. Boom. Dude, there was no audio all that time, really? Yeah, that sucks. Woo! I turned 31 years old. That was like 16 years ago. Boom! Dude, if there was no audio, no, we need to play this. It was a good memory that I had going. Here we go. This one. Hope you can hear this.
That is fantastic. Again, the world is flat. Tell the truth and say it how you see it. Well, I didn't mean flat. I meant curved. Curvature over water. That's good enough for me. You see? Curvature over water. That's good enough for me. The Earth is a sphere and has a radius of 3959. The Earth has curvature. That is fantastic. Again, the Earth is curving. You see? Curvature over water. That's good enough for me. The Earth is a sphere and has a radius of 3959. Have to be honest, you see? Got to be honest. You've got to accept. So if you could show any contradictions to what I've just said, I'd like to see it. You see? Curvature over water. That's good enough for me. The Earth is a sphere and has a radius of 3959. You see? Curvature over water. That's good enough for me. The Earth is a sphere and has a radius of 3959.
That's so annoying. But that's so good at the same time. Shout out to Sean Smith. Sean Smith did this right here. Sean Smith in the house. Is he? Well.
Are you ready?
Boom.
Ladies and gentlemen, the festivities are about to begin.
Remix.
Welcome to the Daily Boom.
Boom.
From Florida to the YouTube universe,
Happy Flat Earth
Jose
birthday.
Gonzalez
Happy Flat Earth birthday.
are live.
By Leo. $2 super chat. Thank you, Leo.
Level.
Appreciate that.
Globe.
Nuh-uh.
Word salad.
Physics.
Boom.
Atmosphere. Ether
Nuh-uh.
band.
Gas pressure.
Needs a container.
Where's the horizon?
Perspective.
Daily boom.
Boom.
Boom. Let's do it.
Moderator, make it quick.
Good morning, YouTube universe. That glorious day, it starts with a verse.
All day fun to be had by all.
Come along and have a ball.
People come from all over the globe we call the earth to discuss the things they think they know.
From Florida to the YouTube universe,
Live.
Show your face, it can't be worse.
Another day with your daily
boom.
Clennan's word salad, Toadie's Egypt trip, gravity, gas pressure, where's the horizon sit? Party with Shanji, flying with Bob and Blue, just another day with your daily boom.
Boom.
We are live.
Woo! There you go. Big shout out again to Sean Smith. Happy 47th for me. Hails to the yeah. I feel happy. I feel strong. I'm not gonna let the personal issues and demons to take over me. I'm gonna be relaxed. I'm gonna spend a few hours with you guys, and we are going to have fun. So I hope that will happen. Thank you very much for your birthday wish, for you being here. Shout out to Howard Moore, Zebulon 181, Real Cygnus, what's up? Martin, Kevin Conrad, John Hawkins, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Howard Moore, for the wishes. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Martin, Charlie Welsh, many, many returns. Boom, Patio Furniture, thank you, thank you. Joe Mongoose is first. Blue Marble Science was or is live. Shout out to Blue Marble Science. Devil's Advocate, yeah. Blue Marble said it's the 26th anniversary of Jose's 21st birthday. I remember my 21st birthday. That was like 26 years ago. Damn, right? I'm telling you, man. I still can shave all this gray white hair, and I look younger. Stevie V, what's up? Congratulations on another successful orbit of the sun. Thank you, Devil's Advocate. Yup. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, 7, bro. Hell yeah, Leo. Thank you again, brother. Appreciate that. Hells to the yeah. Raichi50. Happy 47th birthday, Jose. Thank you so much. Raichi, I appreciate the birthday wishes. I really thank you. Tao Software. Boom. Hell yeah. Another super chat by Leo. The $3 in this one. Happy Lemon Birthday. I like that. Lemon Birthday. Thank you. Appreciate it. Truth nerds, is it not funny? Maybe. Frog Earth Theory is what is we expecting. If you are watching this is gonna be just a regular daily boom festivities on Discord. We're gonna do it on Discord. It's the same thing. I just titled Jose JG 47th birthday because it's my 47th birthday today. So damn, I got beat. I got bit by a mosquito or something here, bro. Woo wee! That one hurts. Just right in the lip line right there. Fucking hey. From Jesse, what's up? So thank you all for being here. Please thumbs up on this video. And if you want to send some birthday presents, you can holler at me on PayPal or Super Chat. I will appreciate that. And you can also share the show. Sharing the show is a birthday present. I think it's gonna pop up and in the Discord and see this will be a successful stream. Oh, Alem, what's up? Hey, happy birthday on the froggy sphere. I don't know if I should squeak the frogs. Yeah, let's give it a try. Why not? If I got frogs, if I got a squeaky earth, why not attempt to squeak him without them getting tangled? Gonna be tangled. I think this is gonna be all right. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah. Look at That was a big leg. That was a big thump with the leg. Oh yeah, yeah. Too many frog legs. Too many frog legs over there today. What did you say? Mabbit, Mabbit. Oh, okay. I hear you. Wait, did you say something, Mama? Mabbit, Mabbit. Oh, what did you say, lazy eye frog? Mabbit, Mabbit. Hey, you got something in your throat? Mabbit, Mabbit. Yeah, he got a frog in his throat. Holy hell! Shout out to the frog family. Lazy eye frog is still my favorite. Sorry, my choice. Looking out, everybody. Leg is the moon. All I see is gray. Lel, do you got a lazy eye too? If you see gray, you must have eyesight issue. Dude, this is gonna spell. Did you read what Lel typed? I mean, in other words, did you read what he say? He say all he see. Uh-oh. Okay, let's go to the a few videos people is already sharing over here. Oh, big shout out to the Discord. Look at that. I see a lot of happy birthdays. Anamorphic, wow, bro. Thank you. Thank you, Big Blue. Brad the Science Bro. Thank you very much for your happy birthdays wishes. I thank you. That we are gonna go ahead to the YouTube live. Jesse Gordon there, but he's definitely muted. But the important person that is in over here with microphone on and ready to go, ready for the festivities is the other Merle, aka El. Yeah, I was muted on Discord. I say, what's up, Lel? You are here? And Jesse is here, but he's deafened. And maybe his microphone works today. Let's try that. Copy. Check.
I'm here.
Well, from Jesse, you got audio there?
Do I?
Oh yeah, you do, man. Hell yeah.
Well, when I saw it was your birthday, I searched high and low and I found my microphone. Actually, I had hung it on a nail so I didn't lose it, but I forgot about that and I was looking in all the wrong places. Well, happy birthday.
Health today, yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. We
And
got
you,
two more birthday wishes over here. Is Cuso. Cuso say saludos desde el viejo San Juan. Saludos, Cuso. Hello. And tweet. Happy, thrilled and excited to wish you a very happy birthday. That is tweet. Thank you very much, young lady. Appreciate it. Yes, you've been lurking around for the past few weeks, maybe a month or so, when you found this channel again.
me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, no, so last summer I was out of town for 4.5 months doing a kind of a big project on my sister's off-grid ranch project there. So I was just out of it, and then I got back and I was just super busy and I couldn't remember where my microphone was. So anyway, but I had to find it for your birthday. And 47 is a prime number, so you're at the prime of your life.
Very much. I feel good. But is it technically considered a prime number, or is it just a saying?
No, 47 is prime. You can Google it.
What does that mean, Prime? I wanna be Optimus Prime. I mean, just
Prime means it's divisible by neither or by only one and itself. It's not divisible by any other number without, not, it'll make a fraction or a decimal if you divide it by any other number. It's
oh,
indivisible.
that I got like the mathematical equation, in the thumbnail that I got there's a square root for the number, like just for that number, like this one, the square root of 2209, like 2209, that'll be 47, right?
Yes, sir.
There you good time. Prime numbers activate. You're a prime guy.
I'm Prime this year. I'm no Prime next year, though.
You sound younger than me. You sound like you're 32 or 30.
43.
43. All right. Not far. Like 10 years off. Leal is also in that neighborhood. Leal is under 40.
No, I'm 45.
45, Leal? The hell?
I'll turn 45 in April. But there I am, Jose. So your answer to your question is yes.
Yes.
Except for with my situation, both eyes have intermittent exotropia, which means if I can't actually blink, I can't close my right eye. I don't know why. I've just never been able to. But if my left eye is open first, then it will be straight. If my right eye is open first, then it will be straight.
Oh.
I was just born like that, so I guess I'm your crazy frog.
Yeah. You like exactly. You're like familiar with the lazy eye frog.
It's not actually lazy eye.
I just like calling it like that. I mean, you gave me a very hard term, like medical term. I'm never gonna remember that. I'll call it lazy eye with respect, not out of.
I'm just glad Blue's here, and I'm glad my best friend Jumungus is here.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't live without him.
Big Blue, you had a live stream, or you still have the live stream, and I hijacked you.
Oh no, I was done with my live stream. All done.
Okay. Sound really
Did
loud.
we learn a lot? Did we learn a lot from the live stream, Blue?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I like how they kept asking you and other people questions as if you were actually in their chat room. That makes no sense. Like, you guys aren't there to answer their question. Why are they even asking?
That's how they do it. I mean, I'm playing a video here. Sometimes a replay here with like Sleek and Channel Q and other people, and people like, damn, ask her this or tell him that, and people telling me to ask them questions. I said, dude, this happened like 3 years ago. I'm just for the 20th time. This is pre-recorded, like a long time ago. It happens.
Yeah, I just had a little fun. That's all.
Zebulon, even if I open them at the same time, one still goes outward.
Happens. We all got our own tweaks and physical situation. Some got it.
Oh, there we go. I forgot to upload. There we go. Now you see me.
Oh, what you got? You got a U?
Put it in I'm Daily Boom on some. I probably should have put it in memes.
I'm gonna share that on YouTube. That cool.
That's fine.
Hey, your forehead is growing, Lale. Your forehead is growing.
Yeah, it's been growing for a while.
like getting bigger and bigger, going back. Shout out to Lale. That's my birthday present, a Lale picture. So I can print it and put it in my wall next to me.
In your wallet.
In my wall, in the wall when I go to sleep.
This is Froggy Day. Hey, look, Lemon Bird showed up.
Hell yeah!
Oh, hello, I've been summoned.
You've been summoned, Lemon Bird. I got 2 shout outs. First, Left Lane, how you doing, brother? The boss man right there. He probably busy at work. Yeah.
Yeah, how are you, Jose? Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hails today. We got Lemon Bird and Tiny Captain. Lemon Bird, sing me a 1-sentence birthday song.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Is that a 1-sentence?
Happy birthday, dear sentence, Jose. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll take it. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tiny Captain, you all right over there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not much of a singer, but I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Pronoun 1990 is saying happy birthday with a $1.99 super chat. Pronoun 1990. Thank you very much. Let the festivities begin. We got a full house over here. We have a 1, 2 opponent views and 1, 2, 3 probably with a. All right, I think we got one person with a specific point of view. We got another person with another point of view. We got another person with another point of view, and then we got 4 people that kind of agree with one specific point. I think the more out there is Lemon Bird. Maybe I'm the second one.
I'm in the confused point of view right now.
About the shape of the Earth, it's flat. That's all you need to know.
No, that's not the confused point of view I hold.
What are you confused about?
The Vegatia of which Jose was speaking. We got one opposed point of view, another opposed point of view, and another. Like, who's he talking about?
I think it's talking about the Earth and the different views about that, but I don't know.
Can I take 30 seconds before and give you guys the floor and we'll engage? I got a few shout outs to do because I got a little bit of support over here on PayPal. Actually, a lot of support. We got a Blue Marble Science with a $5. Happy birthday, Jose. Blue Marble, thank you very much, sir. Happy brother. We do. We have.
I got you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We got yeah, 7, bro. He also gave me some money. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. He gave me like $6 and some change. I appreciate it. Yeah. With a big happy birthday message. And we got a big, huge $50 hit with Left Lane. Yo, man, thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, I don't contribute often, and I just kind of let it accumulate so I can give you a pretty good shot all at one time.
Sweet. Will you let it accumulate for me?
Thank you very much, man. It's a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Jose. You are appreciated and loved by many. Thank you so much, brother. That means a lot to me. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, glad you like it.
All right. So, Lemon Bird, do you think that there's a little bit of disagreement about the shape of the Earth? Do you think it's flat? We'll take it from there. I'll mute myself.
Well, that's what the laser test infrared and long distance imaging appear to be showing. The Globers have, very badly interpreted math and very weird philosophical theory, but I don't see much else other than that for why it's anything other than flat. In a way, seeing is what you get, but NASA's curved distorted photos and curved lenses do not a globe make. That's why we need as much rational reasoning to peer past this falsehood from these curving optics and this stylized NASA photo fakery to really get to the heart of the flat truth.
Well, that 90-foot Sagittarius in the middle of Lake Pontchartrain Bridge does a globe make?
It appears to be nothing more than a visual artifact from swamp gas refraction or something to that effect. Some sort of visual optic effect that doesn't really match a physical reality of any real sort.
Or just curve.
GPS receivers don't know anything about swamp gas, believe me.
I've even looked it up, and I have never heard the term swamp gas. So.
It's my colloquial term for some sort of weird curving refractive effect from the cool and warm waters of Lake Pontchartrain combining the cool waters from the spillway or whatever is spilling into the Lake Pontchartrain, lake or bridge or whatever, mixing with the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, leading to some sort of weird, strange effect.
There isn't a spillway that I know of. Where is this spillway?
Yeah, I've been
Good
looking all
question.
over.
I've heard through the grapevine that there is cold water that spills into that causeway. So I've heard this through the grapevine. Do I know its particular location myself? No, I do not.
I've looked for it, and I can't find anything resembling a spillway or a dam or anything like that. So.
Really? I'll have to look into it.
And but I'm really curious about how any of that can affect GPS position data.
It just appear from.
It would affect the
water.
visual look.
Okay.
Cold and warm water combining together would lead to some
but
sort of
GPS is not.
effect.
GPS is not refraction or visual. It's electronically measured position.
GPS appears to assume what must first be proved. It assumes curvature in the GS84 globe model. So in logic, when you assume what must first be proved, you make a critical misstep. You need to be neutral enough to say, okay, I may think that it's a ball, but I need some sort of neutral way of determining whether it's a ball outside of my non-neutral bias. And so if you're already assuming a model, a GS84, whatever, that assume what must first be proved, a ball, well, that's no good.
The raw GPS data does not assume anything. There is no WGS84 involved in it. The geoid is not involved in it. There are simple X, Y, Z positions in space.
But we already went over this the other day. Since you have XYZ coordinates that have to be centered at an origin, the only way that it could be centered at a 0-0 graph, origin is if you assume a ball with the center. That's the only way that you can center anything for your XYZ coordinate. So that's a non-issue.
Absolutely incorrect. That's absolutely incorrect. You can put an origin anywhere you want to, whether the Earth is here or not here.
So where else?
You could put the origin of that coordinate system on the surface of Pluto if you wanted to. It won't make any difference.
Still a ball.
You'll get the same answer.
But you're putting it at the center of some sort of ball thing. If not the center of a ball, then what to get your XYZ coordinates?
It's a position in space, Lemon, like any other coordinate system is. Just simply a position.
Can I take
it doesn't matter whether it's at the center of something or not at the center of anything. It's just a position in space.
Take a few seconds, Lemon, before you answer him. We'll get Lemon rebuttal after I read this, and then Leo, and then just let Blue finish his point. But I had to interrupt to do a big shout out. We got a super chat on PayPal. We got Anamorphic Mind. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Now that you turn 21, who gets to buy your first alcohol drink? That is a great question. I mean, this $5, I can buy me in a cheap bar over here drink. You're gonna have to stop by and take me out. Anamorphic Mind, probably. From Jesse also, but this one is a big $47 on PayPal. Dude, that's straight up, man. Thank you so much from Jesse. Happy birthday and keep up the good work. Thank you very much from Jesse. I appreciate it, and I'm glad that I am able to provide some content that you actually enjoy and we learn with it. Thank you from Jesse for you. All right, Lemonbird, you wanted to rebuttal Blue.
I was just asking him what other shape other than a ball gives you an XYZ center for these coordinates. We're not talking about a square with a center. We're not talking about a triangle with a center. And as far as I can tell, nobody's been to the center of the Earth. So since nobody's been there to verify this supposed center, they're using idealism. This world of ideas, this world of mathematical, math abstract ideas to impose some sort of center on something that they haven't really even verified. So the only thing that I know of that you can center these XYZ coordinates to would be some idealized globe center, which is assuming what must first be proved in a critical misstep in logic, because you may be imposing your own idea unnecessarily onto the thing when you could be a bit more neutral and go with something that helps us determine at least whether it's flattish or, something else more ball shaped.
It would show you that it's flattish if it were flattish, Lemon. That coordinate system is essentially centered at the center of the orbits of those satellites. Now, whether the Earth happens to be around that center or not is not going to change the coordinates that you're measuring. The origin of the coordinate system, for all intent, is in free space. It would be very close to the center of the orbits of all of the satellites. That would make sense.
Yeah, but it's centered on the Earth. So some of that is just, a definition that we've already decided on. Some of that is just,
but you're not using the Earth
because we already centered it on the Earth anyway, irrespective of its shape. What we think the Earth is the main
Earth.
Do we think that it's flat, or do we think that it's a ball with a center, or what? When we're adding this XYZ math, as far as I know, when I look at graph paper, I see an X and Y coordinate that is centered at 0, 0 at the origin, with some sort of Z going, into 3D space off of the paper coming toward me. So the only way to center all of those axes, one would assume, would be towards something like a ball, unless you're talking about a square or something else. I mean, unless you've been to the center of the Earth to derive those XYZ coordinates, you're just assuming something in a shape. So why don't we just drop the geoid and just go with like a laser going over the land or something?
And we did. We dropped the geoid. We dropped the WGS-84. There's no requirement in math or geometry for a coordinate system to be centered on anything. It is simply the origin. It is a point in space. Pick it. It's up to you. You can put it anywhere you like.
I don't get how you can say that we don't need it to be centered on anything. You have to have an X coordinate that is a distance from the origin out to that point on the X axis. You need to have an origin to get to the Y axis. You need to have an origin to go to the Z axis, pointing out of the paper toward the observer to have a 3D shape. So are we assuming this origin? Have we been there to verify it? Or do we need a more neutral method to figure out what the heck is going on? I would say laser, going straight and true over the land, since most people assume that pretty comfortably, and see if the land is deviating relative to that straight laser and just go from there.
Well, I'm perfectly comfortable with the GPS measurements in XYZ coordinates that don't assume anything about the shape of the Earth. They only measure points in free space. That's all
they
it's
assume
doing.
an Earth with a center, whether that center of a cube or it's a center of a shape that has some sort of boundary. You can't get XYZ.
There's no requirement for the center of anything.
So since we haven't been to the center of the Earth, that's the highest
is not required to be centered on anything. It can be simply a point in space. That's the origin. That's where the X, Y, and Z axes cross. That is what's defined as the origin. Plain and simple.
How can you have an origin if you have?
It has nothing to do with being the center of anything. What's the Lemon? When you draw an XYZ coordinate on a piece of graph paper, what is it centered on?
It's centered on some sort of physical location, assuming that you're talking
from
about
one room to the next room,
that represents reality. It's centered on something in reality, assuming this thing is some sort of real representation.
Hey, Blue, I got a question. I got a question for you, Blue. If we hypothetically say that the Earth is flat, like the Robotham map, and you center someone in the center of the United States, wouldn't the XYZ our XY coordinates be north, south, and then the Y coordinate or Z coordinates would be up or down?
It would be anywhere you want to, any direction you want to define it as, Lemon.
Well,
I've got a really good example.
Any direction, any.
Sorry, Blum.
If I dig down, that would be the Z going down Z, and if I went up in elevation,
You want it to be. If you want it, only if you want it to be. It could be the X direction.
Right.
You can turn a coordinate system any direction you want to turn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but the point is,
put it anywhere you want to put
for a flat disk like the Robotha map, then the XYZ coordinates, it wouldn't assume anything except for you were just placing a type of coordinate system on that map.
Please let me have a go. There's a much easier way to figure this out to show how irrelevant it is, which is what Blue's going on about. Is if I choose 2 points, physical points anywhere, absolutely anywhere, we'll for the sake of argument say we'll choose 3 points across a bridge, and we'll choose them. Now, if I center a coordinate system in Africa, does that change the distance between those 3 points using that coordinate system? Or if I center that coordinate system at my feet, or at one of the points, or at the moon, or in the center of a globe, or on the surface of a flat plane, it does not alter anything about the relationship of those 3 points. It is convenience.
Strictly.
Well, if we're going to get out of the world of abstraction and possibly useless ideas that can't be tested against reality, this needs to be a representation of something actual, preferably a location that people have been to, number one, and have verified as existing, say, 3,000 to 4,000 miles below the surface of the Earth, assuming that we have a radius of 3,959 or 3,963 miles from the surface of the Earth. If this hasn't been verified, then all we're dealing with is a bunch of useless mathematical abstraction that may not possibly even represent reality. We're just inferring a reality that may or may not be there, and we could easily infer something else. So unless somebody's been to the center of the Earth to verify that the center of the Earth is there for this centralized XYZ coordinate system, this is nothing more than useless mathematical abstraction.
It has nothing to do with the center of the Earth.
No,
place me at the center of the United States and center that coordinates on that exact position, Lemonbird, and say 1 mile to the east, 1 mile to the west, 1 mile to the north, and 1 mile to the south is a particular coordinate on that coordinate system. And then going up or down, like in elevation, would be the opposite of those two, not the opposite, but it would be part of the 3 coordinate system.
All I'm saying is that when you use a GS84 model, you're assuming what must first be proved, since what are we trying to prove? Whether it's flat or round, if you already have some sort of roundish assumption with an XYZ, centered coordinate system with some sort of shape with a center, you're making a couple key assumptions from the jump. That it's
there is no such assumption being made. Nobody is assuming a shape of anything.
You're assuming some sort of shape with a center. That would tend to be like a ball, a square, or a triangle.
No, we're not assuming the shape of anything, Lemon.
It's centered on some sort of ellipse.
Not assuming the shape of anything. We are fixing a point in space that we are calling the origin. Period. That's it. There's no shape assumption made.
But when we were talking about this the other day, you said that it's some sort of point 4,000 miles from the surface of the Earth that would tend to be the center of the Earth of 3,963 miles of radius, which is almost 4,000. So you're assuming a point at the center of this shape of Earth, and shapes have a center like circles, spheres, squares, and triangles. So you're already assuming a shape with a center anyway when you haven't been there.
From that very point, Lemon, from that very point, we can describe every feature on your face. As long as you stand still, actually, we could still define it.
Yeah, Lemon.
It does not. The shape. The XYZ positions in space that we're measuring don't have anything to do with any particular shape whatsoever.
And these
They're
are
simply
idealized
positions in space
that we remove from reality.
measured from an origin, Lemon.
And these are
A fixed
idealized
point.
abstract, a bunch of abstract things, plural, that are basically idealized in the mind and not checked against reality, with somebody preferably taking a trip 4,000 miles below the surface to the center of the earth to
Oh, give me a
corroborate these
break.
idealized abstractions
Stop being
that are
silly.
totally removed from reality.
Lemon Bird,
You're just being silly, man.
you are being silly because in my example, the surface of the Earth is 0, 0, 0 in the center of the United States. In my example, if you dig down, you have gone minus in one coordinate of the three coordinate system.
I think Lemon's argument is that.
Yeah,
Lemon's
yes,
argument
that
isn't
is
that.
my argument, and he's ignoring the
No,
argument.
Let me get this straight. Lemon's argument is that in order to define an origin of a coordinate system, you have to physically be there, or something has to physically be there. Now, the actual reality is that you can say, we can call that the center of planet Earth. You can call it 6.2 million meters below the point of the North Star from the ground. Either of those two propositions does not alter anything when we're taking readings on the surface, because the coordinate system had nothing to do with the shape of the land surrounding it. It was an arbitrary space that was chosen. Nothing has to physically be there.
So would it be fair to say that my GPS is receiving the signals from the satellite and calculating its position in free space, and it's just a consequence that I happen to be on the surface?
No, those signals have to be interpreted and put on some sort of computer model readout to make it appreciable and intelligible to people like us that prefer to have some sort of visual cue. And so the interpretation of what those XYZ coordinates becomes very pivotal. The philosophy of those computer geek software programmers, when they make their model look this way or that way in their Google printout. And so at that point, gentlemen, we need to talk about the philosophy of interpretation and how we're interpreting what exactly, if anything, we're seeing with this data.
Okay, my turn.
And
My turn. Just a few seconds. I just got a couple comments to read, and a quick shout out to everybody watching. Got a big audience, almost 50 people watching. Thank you so much. Leave the like, share the show, support. There's a PayPal link over there, super chat, and we actually got 2 super chats. I want to read quickly. First one is Earth is Life for $2. Lemon, put a ball in a box. Will that help, putting a ball in a box?
I mean, we still need to verify this as a physical reality beyond just the mind's idealized ideas. I mean, how do you know that the center is actually there and that your coordinate grid system actually represents a physical reality beyond just this mental activity of the mind? Nobody's been to the center of the earth to verify that. So at this point, we're just making a philosophical argument about what we think is the case based off of our logic.
I've never been to China, but
I got one more. There were 2 comments.
Exists.
There were 2 comments. That was one. One more. Last super chat comment for now. It is Alem for €5. Thank you very much, Alem. Appreciate that. For the sake of argument, the radius of the Earth is half the diameter. Still doesn't matter. Happy 47th solar orbit. So much, Alem. I mean, Big Blue was kind of in the middle of a point. Let's allow Blue a few more minutes to finish his point. He actually come in a lot, but he doesn't participate a lot, and that's kind of made me furious sometimes. So Blue is in a flow, in a groove, in a flow now. Let's allow him to have the floor for a few more minutes with Lemon.
Just
I
wanted
just
to
want
say.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to agree with what Stingray said earlier. No matter where you put the origin of a coordinate system, it will not change the physical relationship of 3 points on that bridge. They are still going to have the same physical relationship to each other, no matter where that origin is. It makes no difference.
Well, all we really
Now,
need is
I
just
will
some
agree with you, Lemon. Let me finish. I agree with you that post-processing wise, when you look at your handheld device, it's giving you an altitude above mean sea level and a latitude and a longitude. That's post-processed. That has taken into account two things: the ellipsoid and the geoid. Okay, that would be I would go along with what you're saying if you're talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about prior to any processing, strictly X, Y, Z coordinates. No shape has been assumed.
I don't know. It seems like with the processing, some of the globe assumption has been baked into the process. And so at that point, I would have to say you're assuming what must first be proved and baking into this interpretation a globe assumption that makes any additional exploration of whether it's flat or round irrelevant, because essentially you have already committed yourself to it being round with a round GPS interpretation. But I could be wrong, but the process is so baked, it's hard for me to trust that it's as objective or as neutral as it possibly could be with, like, say, a laser that both sides assume is straight and true enough, traveling over the land and measuring the deviation from the straight laser line of sight, infrared or whatever, to see if there's any, Earth curvature. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yes, you're definitely wrong,
It's
Lemon,
totally
because
open source, and it's totally open source, and you can get the information. You can build your own equipment. You don't have to depend on anybody else. All you need is the smarts to do it. Now, if you're claiming that it's all baked into the process, then get the information, get the open source information, take it and show us where it's baked in. You can't do it because it isn't.
Well, using a little bit of logic, I mean, we could just hash out some of these assumptions. We don't have to be experts, and we don't even need to be intimidated by the process. All we really need is some freaking common sense to just hash this stuff out. You're talking to me about an XYZ coordinate system. Graph paper as an image is now in my mind with an XYZ coordinate centered at the origin and some sort of shape that is centered at the supposed origin. But at that point, the logic breaks down because nobody's been to this supposed origin to even verify that it at least physically exists in this abstract Google representation. So at that point, Blue, your proposition becomes highly easy to reject based off of that common sense logic alone. If we haven't been to the center of the supposed Earth, this is nothing but an idealized abstraction with a little bit of math attached. That is all.
Regardless of what we present to you, you're going to deny it and you're going to reject it, Lemon. That's the simple facts of the matter. You think it's flat. You're convinced it's flat. You're pretty sure that God done it, and your Bible tells you so. That's the end of that. No reason for you and I to have any further discussion about this.
All I can give you is the rock solid logic that I use as justification to easily reject your premise. So I'll need to investigate from there.
In your Lemon, you have to add, in my opinion, rock solid logic, because it is only your opinion that you are using rock solid logic. But I've got a really quick question. If I have a door and it separates me from another room, now in the center of that door, I center a coordinate system on my side of the door that is centered around 1 meter inside of the door, a place I will never go and cannot verify even exists. Can I spatially measure my room? Yes or no? Or do I need to go through the door to verify that the arbitrary center point position 1 meter inside that I've said is the origin actually exists in physical air or on a table or whatever? I just will never know. Do I need to do that?
No.
No. So I don't need to go 6.2 million meters down from the North Pole on a planet or a flat Earth into hell, the depths of hell, fiery hell, or the underside of a turtle's ass to know the spatial difference and record it above. It is irrelevant utterly, which means those points that Blue came up with on the bridge actually proves something, Lemon.
But your analogy breaks down utterly because you can see the full extent of the door with some sort of, verifiable, view of the whole object. You've seen the whole door. We
Yeah, I can
haven't
see
seen
the
the
North
whole
Pole.
Earth. We
I
appear
can
to
see
be
the North Pole.
limited by the curvature of the lenses, NASA's photo trickery, and very
No, we're
questionable
on coordinate
logic
systems.
at sea level. So your
I
logic has
apologize.
broken down, sir, because you have a
Okay.
whole door that you can see the entirety of, whereas you cannot see the entirety of the Earth in any sort of verifiable process past NASA's highly stylized, lens distorted, lens curved CGI photo
Don't keep
trickery. So your
interrupting.
logic has broken down. So sorry.
You don't understand
No.
that. You don't understand that when Lemon is in a flow talking, and I feel him when he hears somebody just trying to poke into these interjections and saying words. Lemon Bird is like you just cranking up the energy to keep talking and talking and talking and never stop. I don't blame him. Lemon Bird, continue doing that. If somebody, when you're talking, keep interrupting you, just keep going. I won't mind. I won't shut you down because that's what they are asking for. They are asking for you to keep going and talking. Why? Because they are telling you to do it by just by interrupting. They're doing that. Shout out to Anamorphic Mind for a 66 super chat. Thank you, Anamorphic Mind. Per my rock solid logic, it is Jose's 27th birthday. Oh, that makes all kinds of sense, man. Let me think on that for a minute while Lemonberg give me his.
Well, I mean, the main thing is, I'll try to keep it short, but, your logic broke down because you can see the whole shape of the door in some sort of reliable way. You can't do that with the Earth, so your logic is broken down.
Pretty
My
simple.
question there, my quick question there was, if I can see the entire door and I know that the coordinate system center is behind it, a meter, can you explain to me the difference between looking at the ground at the North Pole and saying that the coordinate system is centered 6.2 million meters down? What's the difference there? Besides size, obviously, I will never get to see any of those, touch them, or even verify anything is there. Yet I can still use them 100%. What is the difference and why can't I use it on both occasions?
The difference is you can see the whole entirety of the door. You can't see the whole entirety of the Earth.
Let's say the coordinate system is centered at the back of a wall that I will never see the ends of, but I know the center of it. There's a dot on the wall. Now, it's 100 meters behind that dot. I can measure everything inside the room from that coordinate system, never having going to the extents of the wall. How is that different looking down at the ground at the North Pole?
Because you've seen the entirety of the whole object, measured the whole object, and been able to divide it in half to get a rough center. We haven't been able to do that with the Earth because of NASA's photo trickery and the questionable principles by which we're analyzing what we see with our eyes. So your analogy yet again has broken down.
Yeah, so now let's say it's not in the center. I just draw a point anywhere randomly. In fact, I shut my eyes and throw a dart behind me. It hits the wall. I center a coordinate system 1,000 meters in the direction that the dart was. I can measure everything inside the room. I do not know the length or size of the room before doing this. I will never see the extents of the walls. How is that different to me doing the same on the ground at the North Pole?
This will be the third and last time that you repeat this question before you frustrate me royally. But for the final time, you got to do that because you saw the entire breadth of the door. You're missing that key step. We haven't seen the entire breadth of the Earth so that we can measure the whole thing, divide in half, and get a center. For the third and final time, and I'll let you get the last word because I'm not participating with this anymore. You have seen the entire breadth of the object, divided it in half to get a theoretical center in a way that you cannot do with the Earth. This is the third and final time that I'm answering your restated question.
Okay, and I'll just have my final response. Thank you for answering a question I did not ask, and by strawmanning a situation that you wanted to invent a story around. By choosing the center and knowing the breadth, did you mean shutting my eyes and throwing a dart behind me? That process. They are not equal at all. It is so different, it's embarrassing for you, Lemon, and I'm done. Cheers.
It's a simple concept. We all know that graves are dug 6 feet under. And if I were to dig a hole 6 feet, I could stand on physical ground below the surface of the, we'll say, 0 point, and consider that 0. And if I move north, east, and up 6 feet, I am still on surface of ground. That I center this coordinate system on that 6-foot hole that I dug in the center of that hole, and I move. I have now created XYZ, and the shape of the earth does not matter.
So, Leo, you went 6 feet down, but you didn't go to the center of the earth. Your
That's not
analogy
what I'm
breaks down
saying. You're
too,
straw manning my
because we need to
argument.
go to the center of the earth first,
You're
Leo, or at
straw
least go to
manning
the
my
other side
argument.
That
and
ain't your
divide by
straw
2 to
manning.
get
Stop
this
straw manning.
idealized center, Leo.
You're straw manning my argument. My argument is that I am at a physical place on the earth, dug 6 feet under the surface of the ground.
Yes, but you verified
I
that place
center
6 feet
that
below the
Leo, you
ground by
stopped.
Let
going
me
6 feet
finish.
below the ground.
Leo,
Let me
you
finish.
stopped. You made a
I
very long
center.
pause. I thought you were done, actually, when Lemon Bird started talking. I really thought you were done.
I was not done.
Well, you took
I
like
center my
a 5
coordinate
seconds
system.
pause. I usually wait like 2 seconds after people talk. You shut down for like 5 seconds, and then when Lemon started, you continue talking. So when you're done, you gotta let us know. But you gotta now. Now this is the last point. When you ask this question again, even when the first word that Lemon Bird say, if you think that's a straw man, you're gonna shut up and you're gonna wait for Lemon Bird to make his full point. And then at the end, you will say if you think that was a straw man or whatever the fuck you think it was an answer or not. I don't want to continue doing this when somebody starts speaking because you decide that you're going to interrupt them right off the gate. We're not going to do this. That goes for everybody.
Okay. So I'm going to stay up front. Don't straw man what I'm saying. If I dig a hole straight down 6 feet and I center my coordinate system at that point and I travel upwards 6 feet to the east, northeast, I have just made an XYZ coordinate system and I'm still standing on physical earth. Don't straw man it. Answer that.
Okay, well, you're not at the center of the earth, so your logic breaks down. I don't know what to tell you.
Straw manning again. You refuse to see that you're straw manning. That's the problem.
How am I straw manning you exactly?
Because you're making a point that I'm not making. I'm not saying I'm at the center of the earth. I'm saying I centered my coordinate system based on the hole that I dug 6 feet. That position is 0, 0, 0. I move up from that position 6 feet to the northeast. I have made an XYZ coordinate system based on the center of that hole. Period. The center of the earth has nothing to do with that hole.
So you're making XYZ coordinates based off of this arbitrary position that you've dug?
It's not
then
an
how am I supposed to
arbitrary
know
position because you can
whether or not
measure
the
it.
center of the earth is arbitrary or not, or real? For me to know that it's real, it needs to be based on something that is somewhat factual. Ideally, a place that somebody has actually been to. If you're saying that I can center it in any idealized position that I want, you're effectively saying I don't have to marry this idealized assumption of a center of the earth in any way, shape, or form to reality. It would be nice, Leo, if you dug to the center of the earth at the very least to verify this math. That would be really nice.
That has nothing to do with my XYZ coordinate system. Yes, the center of the earth still exists, but we're talking about centering a coordinate system at a place on Earth. And I gave you an example of a place on Earth where you could do that. And you're assuming that I'm saying we have to do it at the center of the Earth, and we don't.
So are you talking about whether or not we can center a coordinate system anywhere, or whether or not the center of the earth is an actual position for this GS84 globe nonsense? What are you talking about?
In my
Because it seems like you're shifting the subject from whether or not we have an actual center of the earth to base this idealized math off of to just saying abstractly, you could just center a coordinate system anywhere. If you can do that, Leo, then that's effectively saying the same thing as your coordinate system does not have to have anything to do with anything grounded in reality, like somebody digging to the center of the earth and actually going there at all.
The concept is that an XYZ coordinate system does not have to assume the shape of the Earth. In my example of digging the 6-foot hole and moving 6 feet to the northwest of that hole, or northeast, or north-south, or northwest, or just plain north and south, have nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. I'm just saying you can place a coordinate system and you don't have to assume the shape of the Earth. It could be flat for all I care.
Sure, Leo, but ideally you at least dug to that position to verify that it's an actual thing in reality beyond the mathematical abstraction of your mind. Ideally, you would do that so I don't have to call bullshit on your idealized XYZ math abstraction.
But I don't have to dig 6 feet under the ground to know that 6 feet under the ground exists.
Obviously, 1,000 feet below the earth would probably exist. I haven't verified it by going there, but one would assume it exists. Whether that's an actual center or an arbitrary location from here, there, I can't really tell because I haven't really dug through the whole thing to verify any sort of shape. So that's where flatties are going crazy and saying you're kind of assuming that there's this center here that you haven't verified and applying more globe sphere abstraction to your idealized math and not marrying it to reality. That's a bit of a problem.
All right, before Leal make his last point, so we can keep going around the room. Chai is going next after I read this super chat. We get Leal final point and Lemon to wrap this one up, and then we'll keep moving around. Prono 1980 for a 4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Prono. I appreciate it. Lemon Bird, the master of strawmanning. Lemon Bird, stop being arrogant and rude, please. Damn, that's how he thinks about you, Lemon.
It's a shame, but oh well.
Lemon, Leal, you want to make a last point on this? Maybe like wrap it up and get to the punchline in just one comment, one statement, and then we'll go to Shaik.
I yield my time to Chike because I've made my point over and over and over, and I keep getting strawmanned.
You're looking out. We'll try to do this. Keep going kind of around. You know, I see that I saw Paina Sechil. He left because Paina Sechil just wanted to come in and say, "No, you're wrong. You're wrong. No, you're wrong." Probably that's all he wanted to say, and then he just left when I wasn't allowing it. Chaik, go ahead, brother.
Lemon said something which is totally true. We could choose any arbitrary point in space to set our coordinate system. However, if we did just random point in space, everything would be moving and it will be very hard to calculate. Since we use this system to navigate, to measure the Earth, and all this stuff, it's very convenient for us to put it at the center of the Earth and be fixed, right?
Yeah, because the earth is probably fixed and motionless. If you're talking about something that actually reflects reality, or at least the way that we act in reality as if this is true versus something else being true to guide our actions.
Well, we can't use this system to see if Earth is motionless because this system is fixed. But we can tell the shape of the Earth.
The only way for us to tell if we're moving is if we're moving through a substance. That would have to be an acknowledgement that space is a substance like ether that we can move through. That gives us some sort of appreciable wind-like effect, like us going through the wind in a car and knowing that we're moving in the car because we feel the wind blowing against our face. We would effectively need to have instruments that can feel the blow of this ether, this substance of space, against the earth in a certain way, assuming that the earth is moving through it.
And since no instrument yet measured this wind, it's not there.
They measure an ether wind, just not enough to justify 30 kilometer per second or doing the math, 66,000 miles per hour around the sun motion around the sun through it. There is an appreciable ether wind interpreted as light being split in an interferometer. One light ray goes to the left, one light ray goes to the right. You try to recombine them, and one and or both of the rays appear to be out of phase, like they went through some fudgy, treacly substance of space to lead to the interference pattern on the photographic plate that you see when light recombines out of phase and gives you a light dark band pattern in the interferometer. So, based off of that framework, for why the light appears to be combining out of phase due to one and or both of the rays going through the thick, treacly fudge of space and slowing down, we do appear to see, number one, some sort of substance of space itself around objects like you and me, aka an ether. And number two, based off of that assumption with that framework, we should be able to clock our movement against its flow or with its flow, just like we can clock the movement through a river that is flowing this way or that way, crossway to the stream or with the stream of the quote unquote ether.
You give me 30
Well,
seconds, please, before you answer, and then it's your turn, definitely, Shaik. After I finish talking, nobody but Shaik is going to go next. Please, allow me to. I got 2 comments to read. I got one big $20 PayPal by John Mongoose. Yo, holy shit, thank you very much, man. Listening to Lemon and Lel talk about the shape of the earth is like watching the Super Bowl, World Series, and World Cup combined into one event. The only thing better is listening to Rumpus talk about grammar. Happy birthday and God bless. That's beautiful comment, Jamangos. Really appreciate it. And I got a jet special sound effects in the background as I say this. Thank you so much, Jamangos. I appreciate it, brother. And we get a big $10 super chat by No Name. And this $10 is for my hookers and blow fund. Thank you very much, No Name. I appreciate it. We're looking out, brother. Keeping it real, man. Thank you. I'm gonna go on mute. Chike, you're up.
Yeah, Lemon, those days of Michelson Moldy are over. We have much more accurate and sensitive interferometers, and they measure no ether in wind.
The thing that we don't measure, Chaiki, is the movement of the Earth at 30 kilometers per second through it. We don't have a consistent measurement of that. And since this is the only framework, the only way to figure out whether this is true or not, namely, we need to be moving through a substance that gives us an appreciable wind effect interpreted in these interferometers as light coming back in and out of phase, giving you a light dark band pattern, because one and or both of the split light beams are recombining out of phase because of going through some trickly fudge of space. Since that's the only framework that allows us to figure out whether we're moving or not, and people deny it the moment it goes against heliocentrism, effectively, Chaiki, you have no way to prove whether we're moving at all. At that point, it is only axiomatically assumed as a philosophical starting point without any real evidence or proof beyond that, because you don't even have a framework now to prove whether we're moving or not, because we have no substance to move through.
Well, Lemon, I said they did not detect any ether wind. Didn't talk about any movement, just the ether wind. It's not
That's false.
there.
They did.
It's not there. No, they don't. They detect gravitational waves, very, very weak gravitational waves, but ether wind, they do not detect.
Now they're just trying to couch the ether in gravity's terms. Now gravity all of a sudden has waves. Nobody talked about gravity's waves and Newton. Esoterical woo force that somehow coalesce matter. They didn't talk about waves of gravity. The moment you talk about waves of gravity, you have to talk about a speed of propagation. How fast is the wave traveling? And if it's traveling anything slower than the speed of light or traveling at some sort of speed, there's going to be a lag. Gravity is not going to be able to travel at a certain speed, and then there's going to be a lag. You're going to have to calculate that lag and how fast these gravity waves are traveling. I haven't heard anybody talk about the speed of gravity at all. People treat it like it is an instantaneous thing that happens instantly. We talk about the speed of light. We talk about the speed of radio waves. You haven't talked about the speed of gravity waves. This is bullshit.
No, actually, gravity waves are the only waves that travel at the speed of light, always through or space or substance, always travel at the speed of light.
Anyway, there's problems with this woo conception of gravity. That's why I dropped it like a bad hat and went with something electromagnetic. All they're trying to do is take the ether's thunder and repurpose it for this dead weight gravity model that should have been jettisoned the moment we found out about electromagnetism. Electromagnetic waves in some background soupy substance that would otherwise be known as an ether up to a century ago when it was made a bad word the moment it went against their heliocentric preferred model and appeared to point to an Earth that was moving much more slowly, if at all, through it.
Okay, we got Tiny Captain. You're sharing your screen. You're sharing the stream. So I don't know what you want to share. It's something specific. Guys, what you're looking at in you. Click on your stream. Share.
No, then yeah.
Confusing.
Yeah, but then can people see what's happening in the stream and in the Discord at the same time?
Okay, okay. So let me stop watching your stream. Okay, great. Left lane.
Just for the people with one screen.
Oh, left lane. What you got, man? What do you think about the topic so far?
It's frustrating, Jose. That's all.
Oh, frustrating. I heard that part.
Let me say, it's like gravity is a magical thing that he talks about this fudgy soup, something ether that we should be able to detect. Yes, if it were there, it would be detected, but it hasn't been. They've looked for it. It's not there. So I don't even know what he's talking about.
Dayton Miller had hundreds of ether drift experiments, basically talking about this interference pattern that showed up in these interferometers that they interpreted as light moving through some sort of trickly fudge of space, causing the light to slow down and form an interference pattern. He had hundreds of measurements and attested to the ether all the way till the day he died. And so the only reason that they got rid of the ether and came back to it later as space-time quantum foam or quantum fluid was because it appeared to be pointing to ether speeds that were much slower than the 30 kilometers per second of ether drift needed to have some sort of basis to say that the Earth is moving through the ether around the sun. Once you drop the need for the Earth to move for heliocentrism, you can bring back the ether with no problem. They just jettisoned it and threw it out like a bad hat because they didn't want to even look into the idea that the Earth isn't moving at all.
You say that like heliocentrism is something that they just came up with, and they come up with all this other stuff to support that, when in actuality the heliocentric model is an explanation of the way we see reality, the way we observe it, the way the sun moves across the sky as we observe it, while we have two celestial poles at 180 degrees from one another. All these things that we observe to conceive that we're on a rotating planet, and I don't know why we're talking right there.
We could assume something else just as easily with little to no contradiction. The sun, moon, and stars could be moving over us, especially if we drop these atheistic, materialistic considerations that the world only needs to break down to blind mechanical laws with no designer and, no sort of watchmaker of any sort. But without getting too theistic or too wooey for some, easily the sun, earth, and sun, moon, and stars could be moving over the flat, motionless earth. And so we don't have to assume that the earth is a ball rotating or moving at all unless we have this commitment to a prior idea that philosophically suits us more.
No, actually, we have a commitment to facts, and we can show that the Earth is moving, Lemons, and you have to ignore those facts in order for your theistic bullshit.
Paid NASA shill, the facts need to be interpreted via a paradigm, a way
No,
of bringing the facts together and telling some sort of story, some sort of narrative that coherently brings them all together in a way that makes sense. That's where the rub is.
actually, they don't. And the problem is that you start with your paradigm, you start with your conclusion, and then have the facts fit your conclusion rather than the other way around, which is how science works.
We already did that with the ether. The only
There is
framework,
no
the
ether.
only way to explore the world of ideas as to why light is coming back out of phase when you split it in an interferometer is either something is moving, be it the earth and or space over and around the earth, and or space itself is a trickly fudgy substance that light needs to go through a little slower this way versus that way to explain the interference pattern in the ferrometer. Now, if you have another explainable framework for why this light in the interferometer is coming back out of phase, other than light being a treacly, fudgy substance and or something moving like the earth and or space itself, then I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, without a framework, a way to think about this in some sort of natural way that encourages thought, action, and experimentation, I can't go with what you're saying because you just leave a question mark. Science stops and action stops because we don't have a story to tell ourselves to go forward in any sort of intelligible way.
Well, that was really great word salad. What the fuck did you just say?
Who
What
said the
explains
light?
the
Hold on,
interference
Chai.
pattern in the interferometer
Yep.
other than the
You asked
thick
for it,
treacly
NASA.
sludge of space or the earth and or space over the earth moving go?
Well, you just
I
explained
have
3
another
different
question.
methods that could do it. We know that the Earth is moving for other methods, like the Foucault pendulum. That your frickin' ether bullshit doesn't work. Sorry.
The false cult pendulum can be explicable with the ether. The
Nope.
false
There
faux
is no
French for
ether.
false and cult in French. You could say it cult for the purposes of
No,
this
that's not what
pun.
Foucault
The
means.
Hey,
false
NASA
cult
chill. We're
pendulum
not
could be
interrupting today.
swinging differently in the ether, like water swirling a drain, and then the pendulum swings a little this way or swings a little that way because space is swirling over and around the pendulum. How about that? The
Well, why
ether
do
swirling over and around the pendulum.
yet the pendulums in the southern hemisphere rotate the opposite direction? That doesn't work on your stupid ether flow. And by the way, Foucault was the man's name. It didn't mean false cult or anything. Fuck off.
It does for
Yeah,
the
you
purposes of
just
this
went. Oh,
cheeky ass pun. But the false
An
cult
English
pendulum
pun.
could be explained simply
Foucault,
by
use the man's
looking
name
at a
correctly.
water with drain of water. It's easy. You see worlds and counter worlds in a drain of water that look a
No.
lot like the northern and southern worlds and counter worlds.
No.
Intuitive, helps the
No.
mind work naturally, and it helps the mind solve the problem without years of expensive university education or going into debt or anything like that. I love it.
Yeah, I know.
I
You
think you
wouldn't want
also went against your
Hold
own.
on, hold on, Tiny Captain. Hold on, hold on. I need to say this. Painasa, bro, I couldn't take it the last 10 seconds. I had to server mute you. And you will
saw.
continue to get server muted whenever somebody, if you ask a question or somebody is talking, you cannot interrupt just by saying no and you're wrong. And just because you disagree what they say. You, if you want to engage, you have to wait until the other person finishes talking. I stated this before. I have stated this on other days, but I stated this today earlier. You know, that's how adults speak.
I
You
know.
try not to interrupt when somebody's talking. So get your shit together if you want to keep participating in this show. Thank you very much.
No, the problem with Lemon is he just drones on and on and on, and he's wrong from about the second word out of his mouth. And by the time he gets finished 5 minutes later, everybody's forgotten that he was wrong from the second word out of his mouth. I understand. I'm sorry. I apologize. But still, with Lemon, it's particularly bad.
No worries. We're not really listening to each other anyway. Tercy, you were trying to get in there. This is fruitless and goes nowhere. So at the very least, let's have a new person in on the discussion. Tercy, was that who I heard? This third person trying to get in?
Tiny, I think it was Tiny Captain and Big Blue. You're sharing the screen, and Tiny Captain, but Tiny Captain is not sharing the screen for us. He's sharing it for.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to look up trickly fudgy substance. I'm not having any luck.
Well,
where do I find that, Ronnie?
Well, in British parlance, a treacle is a British word for a thick, sweet fudge, like a syrupy, thick, sweet pudding. So space is like a thick, sweet pudding that we're swimming through. We're all just fishy swimming through this ether, basically this thick, sludgy substance of space that's making the light in the interferometer recombine at a phase like one and or both of the rays were slowed down on their way back to recombining in the interferometer.
Maybe that's what's wrong. The light was just getting stuck to the sticky shit that you got all over the interferometer.
It's a possibility, but the main thing that I prioritize in these discussions, Blue, is as much common sense understanding as possible to peer past the esoteric BS of these, people that may be lying to us using esoteric math, esoteric principles, and, esoteric stuff that just doesn't make sense.
Didn't the Marcus and Morley experiment... Sorry, go ahead, Blue.
I was just thinking maybe we could find something we could the interferometer with that this trickly fudgy shit wouldn't stick to. Then we could get the right answers. What do you think?
It's a possibility.
Didn't the sorry, I've just joined the conversation, so maybe I'm a bit late. But didn't the Michelson-Morley experiment disprove the existence of the ether?
It was interpreted as that, but they still got an interferometer ether drift speed. An ether drift speed basically being interpreted as how far apart or how close together those light dark bands of light were in the interferometer. The framework that they used to interpret this was saying something is moving, and the substance of space is what we're moving through that's slowing down the light and causing the light dark bands. That was the framework by which the experiment was interpreted in, and still appears to be interpreted in even now.
Interpreted by who, though? When you're saying that, are you saying that Michelson and Morley interpreted it incorrectly, the ones that actually did the experiment, or are you talking about other people?
It seems to be a collaborative effort over several researchers. They weren't getting 30 kilometers per second of ether drift speed. They were getting more like 5 to 8, if that. It was going up, it was going down, it was inconsistent, but they still got this positive, persistent ether drift of some sort.
So how does that prove the existence of the ether then?
It's the only framework by which the experiment is interpretable. That's why I was asking Paige Shill, if you reject this framework for interpretation, then how else do you interpret why, if at all, for any reason, we're getting these light dark bands in the interferometer? And he couldn't answer that. So since the only one offering an interpretable framework appeared to be myself, I'm going to have to reject his criticism, whatever the hell it is, and his counterclaim, whatever the hell it is.
So you've just admitted it is your interpretation, right? Because you just said it was your interpretation. So it's just an opinion of yours. So there's no real evidence. So go ahead.
No,
that's what you just said.
Dennis talked about this interpretation.
You just said no. You just said your interpretation.
Plot to bury the ether. So it's not just my interpretation; it's the interpretation of other people as well.
Okay, but you just said a moment ago it's your interpretation. That's what you said.
And yet again, you're avoiding having to offer an intelligible counter interpretation because you don't have one. So at that point, I'm going to easily dismiss what you say. Because interpretation as the only interpretable framework that allows us to go forward, experiment, and keep our heads on straight.
Well, I'm going to go by with the people that actually conducted the experiments, which is Michelson and Morley. I mean, you're basically saying their interpretation of the people that actually did the experiment is incorrect. And you're saying their interpretation is incorrect. Why are you saying that when you didn't do the experiment yourself, but you're interpreting it in a different way to them? So it's just an opinion. You have hold on, I haven't finished, but it's just your opinion. You have an opinion that they haven't interpreted it correctly.
Well, that
But you have
opinion
no
appears to
evidence
be
to back
backed
that
by
up.
the inconsistent nature of their interpretation. Using
Is
a
it?
similar setup and a similar apparatus, they said in Michelson-Morley, no ether drift. Yet in Michelson-Gale, they used a similar setup to basically try to quote unquote prove the axial, movement of the Earth around its axis, and they got appreciable results. With the same setup, no appreciable results in one hand with Michelson-Morley. Same setup to prove quote unquote the spin of the Earth around its axis, and they get appreciable results. The inconsistency of the interpretation calls into question that interpretation period. And the most consistent interpretation was not enough ether drift to prove that the Earth moves 30 kilometers per second around the sun, but enough ether drift to see that something is swirling over and around the Earth with a once daily rotation. Otherwise, what consistent interpretation is there?
So once again, your logic and reasoning something into existence. Once again, as you've always done with this ether, you can't logic and reason something into existence. You're going to have to prove, because we can't see it, we can't touch it, we can't test it, we can't see it, and we've got no way of measuring it. So therefore, according to you, by your logic and reason, we've got to believe it exists, even though the experiment has been done to disprove that it even exists to begin with.
But you're talking about gravity now. The thing is, we're inferring to some
No, I'm
sort of
not.
cause, but some sort
No,
of
I'm not.
logical framework. And the thing is, the inconsistency of their interpretation using similar methods, similar methodology, and similar assumptions somehow yield null results for when we're trying to see the movement of the Earth around the sun, but some results when we're at least trying to see if the Earth spins daily, or a counter interpretation that I would say is a conspiratard belligerentard flatty. At best, the substance is moving gently once a day over the Earth. So, because of the
Your
inconsistency
interpretation.
of the interpretation, I am allowed perfectly to formulate a more consistent narrative myself, as I have done, Robert Sungenis has done, even though he's a geocentrist ball earther who says that the Earth is in the center and or does not move at the center. It's flat, but I digress. Or
That's
other
that's where the problem lies. That's where the problem lies. You just because he believes in the ball Earth. That's the only reason. Yeah, it all comes to light now. So again, but you're still trying to logic and reason something that existed. That is still your interpretation, and is still your opinion. That's all it is. That's all you have. You have nothing else.
Hold on. When you hear an inconsistent narrative like this one, what choice do you have other than to formulate a more consistent narrative of your own? For
Not
us to see if
inconsistent.
we're moving at all, you're
Of your
heliocentrist,
own.
right? Ideally, you would like to prove that the Earth is moving. How do you prove movement if you have no substance to move through, aka you deny the ether or do word games and word flips around it, calling it everything else but the ether as it was 100 years ago, calling it space-time, quantum fluid, quantum foam, some sort of field? How can you prove it? You don't even have a framework for evidence or proof. So out one side of your mouth saying this is proven,
Neither do you.
but at the other side of your mouth, you're saying something contradictory because you have no framework to prove what you're talking about.
Neither do
That's a
you.
huge problem.
Neither do you, Sunshine.
Lemon, you just spouted off 5 different concepts that have very little to do with one another.
Yeah, it's called gish galloping. Lemon, I have a question for you. How can you talk about treacle without ever mentioning brimstone? It's brimstone and treacle. They go together. Yeah, before penicillin, that dreadful, dreadful invention. We should go back to the days of brimstone and treacle, right?
I know Lemon's desperate to get away from the origin discussion that started all this stuff off, but I got a question. Since Michelson-Morley, have there been any other laser interferometers built, Lemon, that you know of? Do any of them show this ether drift?
I think Lemon have left the building.
Yeah, I was going to get to that, Blue.
You
The
were
fact
I
that
was going.
the fact that Michelson-Morley is like a 140-year-old experiment. They found like 3.5 kilometers per second was the lower part, which was like 10 times lower than they needed. They've done it now to where the point went out at like 2.5 centimeters per second. So we improved on this vastly, but Lemon doesn't want to pretend that either.
Well, I happen to know that if you go up to Washington State, near Hanford, or you go down to Louisiana, you can find a couple of places they call LIGO. Those are like the biggest, baddest motherfuckers on the block, in terms of laser interferometers. They don't seem to measure anything other than gravitational waves.
but they are also physical unclamped lines on Earth, right? Boom. How about that?
Oh, that's right. They are. I forgot about the clamping. Yeah, I forgot about that. My bad.
It's just that
So
Lemonbird
the
seems to have this habit of his interpretation or his opinion, and that's basically what it boils down to. His interpretation of the Marcus and Morley experiment is correct, and everybody else's, including the two people that actually carried out the experiment, is wrong. You know, this is kind of attitude it kind of takes, and I think this is why, because I was challenging that, and that's why he got started getting a bit irate and quit.
Maybe Gary knows about this third lemons.
Well, like I said, you can't see it. We haven't been able to measure it in any shape or form. You can't test it. You can't touch it. You can't taste it. You can't see it. But according to Lemon, we've got to accept it's there because of his opinion. I'm sorry, but no. If you give me some empirical evidence that it actually exists, which there is none apart from his interpretation, then fine, yeah, maybe I'll accept it. But until that point, no.
I'm going to say, you were just describing, they were all the attributes to something that doesn't exist.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the center of the Earth doesn't exist, but the ether does, because everybody saw it somehow.
I'm willing to accept that the ether exists if there's some empirical evidence. Show me some empirical evidence of it. It's there. And yeah, fine, we can talk about it. But there isn't any. There's none.
Yeah, there's more proof of the center of the Earth.
What if
nothing about?
What if I want to change the term of dark matter and call it ether? The 90% of or whatever percentage that it is of the whole entire universe. All off. 95% known that people call dark matter. I want to call it ether. I want that wrong? I changed the term.
Nah, it's not wrong, but it's that's just change. That's just a change of words, isn't it? It's not an change of interpretation or whatever.
But the dark matter still is not known. Unknown. Nobody knows what it is. Yeah.
But it does.
True.
It doesn't do what luminiferous ether was supposed to have done. Luminiferous ether was the stuff that was supposed to give light a medium to travel in, and dark matter doesn't do that.
They're two entirely different things.
Let me Blue, what do you think? What if I want to just call it this 95, whatever you guys call dark matter? I want to start calling it luminiferous ether. I'm not talking about the luminiferous ether or the Michelson Morley experiment and all these people. I want to call it that's the term that I want to call it because it's an unknown.
Just a term you can call. You can call it anything you like as long as everybody is clear on what you're talking about. Actual word you're using or phrase you're using makes no difference one way or the other. I don't really care.
Actually, a decent idea. What is the ether? Well, it is nobody knows what it is. Not scientists. Nobody on Earth knows what it is. It's what is the 95% of the known universes knows as the ether.
Well, you can call it whatever you like.
Yeah, dark matter is a reasonable description. It acts like matter, whatever it is. It behaves like matter, but we can't see it. Therefore, dark matter.
Well, it's actually dark gravity. Doesn't act like matter yet.
It acts like it has the effect gravity has. Yeah, true.
The stingray, I think is a good idea, right? I mean, you got these positrons described as gravity. I got the dark matter described as ether.
It'll work.
No, I think my positrons are better, but I'm biased.
Yeah, dark matter can't be ether because it's supposed to be luminiferous. Dark matter would have to be anti-luminiferous ether.
Yeah.
Well, I just think you've lost the argument if the attributes of the thing that you're describing share share the same attributes as a mythical creature that's untestable, unverifiable. It's just a myth. It's just made up nonsense.
So dark matter is not a real thing. Doesn't exist.
Dark matter is, according to Broly, is not ether but neither.
Actually, dark matter. Someone explain it. Dark matter is just the umbrella term for the mass that's missing, right?
The gravity is missing.
Yeah.
Which, as far as we know, or can interpret, implies that there is matter there of some sort.
Yeah. So it's not like a singular thing. It's an umbrella term for the unknown that we see the effect of, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a placeholder at the moment. Something's doing it. We just don't know what it is. So it's the placeholder, dark matter, and dark energy.
Yeah. Dark energy and dark matter sounds way better than placeholder here.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to go away from the keyboard for about 10-15 minutes.
Can I ask a question? Is the ether purely hypothetical, or is it a theory? Because I know dark matter is theory because it's actually been tested, at least mathematically. But what about ether? Is it theoretical, or is it just purely hypothetical?
There was a thought in the day when it was assumed that light needed something to propagate through.
Yeah, a medium to go through.
Like
I understand.
You needed. If you're going to have waves of light, you need something to wave, right? It was the luminiferous ether. That's what was moving around.
But it couldn't be.
That wasn't right.
Yeah, so it couldn't be tested then. So therefore, it must be. It's just a hypothesis that it even exists.
Yeah.
No, it was a theory, and it tested and failed.
Exactly. Yeah. But somehow, according to a certain person,
it actually threw science into a tizzy at that point. It was assumed that there was such a thing as the luminiferous ether, and then Michelson Morley come along, test, and can't find it. Now you got a real problem. The damn Earth is moving. We realize that. We know it is. But we can't measure any movement through this luminiferous ether. So now what do you do? Thankfully, a few years later, 20 years or so, along came Einstein and fixed it. That was a real quandary for physics there for about 20 years.
So what was the process that went through from that point over those 20 years to understand about photons and stuff like that? How did they get to that point in a brief sort of summary?
Oh, I don't. I'd have to go back and research that for you.
No, it's all good. Doesn't matter. I'll do that myself. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do that for me.
Hello, everyone.
Not too good on it.
Hello.
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 Am I clear?
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah, okay. So there's something about Michelson-Morley experiment. I think it's scientifically, or if you're a good scientist, you make a device to detect something in the air, and then you don't detect it.
So either that thing doesn't exist or the device needs to be tested. So you put that device, you get that device and you put the gas or whatever, something that you are trying to detect into it, and you see detection. So now you know that your device is working. So if some people believe that the Earth is not moving, why don't you put that device on a moving platform to test it? Until then, no one can claim that Einstein came with a lie just to hide the truth that Marx and Morley explored. I'm missing the audio. I don't know why.
Well, we've had an awful lot of laser interferometers since then. They work just fine. They're all over the place right now. Laser interferometers are not uncommon. We've got lots of them.
What are they
in
used for?
all kinds of applications.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you what kind of applications.
Well, ring laser gyros are laser interferometers.
Okay.
I just
I'd
stopped
like
by to do a shout out to a big $10 super chat by Brian. Thank you very much.
Oh, happy birthday, Jose. Just realised.
Gary, you there?
Sometimes I think that Gary Gonzalez looks like or sounds more convincing than Jose Gonzalez. GG. Blue, did you check the link that I sent you?
I don't remember. Where'd you send it?
It was from the same site that Quantum Eraser used.
Can I interrupt and have my next gaming video? I'm gonna unplug this. Check 1 2. I think you guys can still hear us, and I'm gonna turn the camera. It's gonna be for. Got some goodies for me. You got some goodies.
It's a bit high, the volume level, Jose.
Yeah,
That's better.
About
Better. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
kind of. I'm gonna mute you guys for a second. Maybe they can hear us. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jose. Happy birthday to you. Boom! Hey! Hey! Ho! Thank you. Oh, look how pretty. Cakey. With one candle. 47 candles will be too much. This is for the ones that don't think that it's really my birthday. Look. Happy birthday, Jose. Hey, thank you very much. I need to try a piece. Thank you. I know the audio wasn't the best, but hey, there we go. We got it. Let me put this on. Get a better audio. That should be a better audio with this one now. Testing. Cake testing. Cake testing. See how the cake testing goes. Small piece just to kind of sort of get into it. This is the tiniest piece ever. Look, it looks good. Actually, looks delicious. Thank you very much. That's really good. It's really good. Thank you. Hey, I'm gonna hang out here for a little bit longer, and then I'll go. We go eat. You can go and have a big ass speech. Got it. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, and we got 7.
Good. Good. That's my mini birthday present cake. Chaos today, yeah. Okay, let's go back to this.
Just the
You guys
elevation
are back
angle
online,
from a
right?
spot.
Boom.
Welcome back. And an all citation elevation angle is measured from horizontal plane. No one ever said it's measured from the surface of the earth and that the earth is supposed to be flat.
Enjoy the cake, Jose.
It's measured with respect to a perpendicular to your zenith.
Yeah.
Oh. You could interpret that as a tangent to the surface of the earth at your position. It'd be the same thing.
Even there, the earth, if it was flat in my position, it's not flat enough to make measurement with it. I mean, if you're in mountains and hills, valleys,
right?
How can that be the adjacent?
Well, which is why you don't necessarily have to have. You certainly do not have to have the horizon like the ocean to look at in order to determine the elevation angle. You can do that with an artificial horizon. It amounts to nothing more than just a level, basically. You can do it with a bubble sextant. Same thing. It's all back to something that is perpendicular to your zenith at the point you're making the measurement.
Mm-hmm.
Any way you can come up with that.
But Blue, if the Earth was flat, I didn't need my nautical tables.
No.
And the other thing is, then the edge should be at the Greenwich because it's calculating 360 degrees from Greenwich.
Yeah, it is. The GHA is pretty important.
I gotta give a big shout out and big thank you to everybody on YouTube land who happy birthday, and everybody here in the call, everybody that has support. Great times. Before we continue, I see earlier. Chris Matt in the YouTube chat, you just pop in, but you're gonna have to delete that comment. That word is not allowed to be typed in YouTube chat box. I can delete it with a timeout, so I'm gonna give you the opportunity to. John Hawkins mentioned earlier that he invited Awake Souls to come in to have a debate. And if they show up, I'm happy to give them the floor for John Hawkins. Any word on that?
Actually, he challenged me to the debate, and I accepted. And then he made excuses and tried to chicken out of it. But we'll see if he shows up.
Yeah, we shall see. Big shout out to Genesis. Genesis didn't know it was my birthday. Hey, someone made you a cake. That's so sweet. That's some cake for surprise party. What a birthday card in the past 20 years at least. Not even a card. Boo hoo. Hey, happens. It is what it is. Thank you very much for popping in. And happy birthday, Jose from Sean Smith. Thank you, sir. Coming.
Is that a fondant cake? Looks like.
It was, I don't know, it was like a 3 It had a few chocolate fudges.
Yeah, looks like the covering of the cake is fondant. It's like it'd be like a thick pudding stuff like Lemon Bird's talking about. He doesn't even
Yeah.
know what treacle is. He doesn't even know what treacle is. Treacle is molasses. It's not pudding.
Right. Okay.
Idiot.
Yep. All right, and let me do this big shout out and give you guys the floor again too. I just received some money in PayPal. Happy birthday, Jose from Parabindu. Thank you very much, Parabindu. $18. Hails to the yeah. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. So awake souls, nothing. They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna.
Oh no, he won't show up. See, he's one of those guys that challenges people to debate. Then when you accept it on his channel and his chat, he blocks you. Then he goes on other people's chats and says, "Yeah, nobody wants to debate me. You're all cowards." And then when you accept the challenge, you say, "Okay, be here that day, be here tomorrow." They don't show up. So they want a story to tell their people. Oh, this guy's a coward. Look, he isn't responding. Well, he isn't responding because you blocked him. That's all they want. They want the sound clip.
Yeah, I like that one. When I pop in a YouTube chat box and I get timeout of the gate, and then I got 7 people just tagging me and asking me questions. They're like, look at him. He doesn't know how to answer. He can't answer. Dude, I just been timed out. And then when I come in, like, oh, I'm back. All right, let me answer the questions. And when I start typing and I hit send, I'm already being timed out again. Everybody like, look at that. He's running. We're like, what the fuck?
Arwen's kind of like that. He doesn't, people know that you get timed out with Arwen because he says, "Get the hell out of here, you." But yeah, I've typed hello. And Armin, the first thing I've typed in Armin's chat, hello, and I'm timed out. I'm blocked. It's amazing.
Instantly.
You can't be nice to the guy at all.
Oh shit, I got a $5 by Khalid. Happy Boom Day. Hey, thank you, Croxy Khalid. Give my free support, brother.
You're welcome. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, happy birthday,
Thank
Jose.
you, brother.
Damn.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a moron.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Hey, they come once a year. It will be another one. Hopefully, I'm around. Another one and another one and many, many more. I wish to have many, many more of. 47, not too bad. I feel good for 47. I seen people that was in school with me and whatever, in high school. And yeah, the ones that are left, there's a bunch of them that are really in bad shape, A lot of them are happened to them. I've been blessed of being still in one piece, I'm feeling.
I have a question.
Happy birthday, Jose.
Thank you. Get a
Yeah.
question, Khalid.
Yeah. Did anyone here see the movie The 13th Floor?
Yes.
Yes, is that the? Yes, I seen it. I don't remember it. I think of John Malkovich, but that's not it. I know it's the being John Malkovich is in a 13th floor, but I know that's not it. But I seen the movie 13th floor. I just don't remember the premise at all.
Was about that hotel that skipped the 13th floor, but there was one, wasn't it?
What?
It was about that horror movie that had a hotel that skipped the 13th floor, but there was one, wasn't it?
No, it was about the some scientific research company that's making a simulation, and the 13th floor is just the labs for that company.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, I saw them both.
Yeah, so that movie when I saw that there's some people believe in the flat Earth, I remember that movie because I'll just give a brief point about the movie that it was a company that's making a simulation about a city or a town, and the researchers they can go into this simulation to see the world that they build and interact with it and make it perfect. Until some point, someone wanted to make some problems, so he instigated one of the characters in this simulator to go to the highway and keep on driving. And when this character did that, he reached to a point where life doesn't look as it look. It just looked like green lines and triangles because they cannot create a simulator of the environment that extends the whole, like the whole Earth. So he realized that this world that he was born in is created by someone. He saw the proof. So that's one of the reasons on a religious basis that the Earth cannot be flat and our universe cannot be contained by specific barriers, because we're gonna have inventions, we're gonna do something to reach the end. But on the other side, our universe, the real universe, is expanding, and the outer skirts of that universe is expanding faster than the speed of light. That's why we cannot even see it. So no matter what we did, we will not see the end of this creation, let alone reach to it.
The good thing was the simulated world was still a globe, because they said that they couldn't render the world past the horizon.
Yeah.
Can I give a few shout outs? I got a big shout out and a thank you. First, Chris Matt for that beautiful cake on screen right now for the audience. Thank you very much for the candles. They're light up and flapping. Candles flapping. And big shout out to RT96 with a big happy boom day by RT96, $47 on PayPal. Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much. RT, you are the man. Thank you.
Well, to have a symmetrical, even representation of an object on all sides, it does help if you have equal room from the vanishing point up, down, left, and right. Say you're 6 feet above the ground and you have 6 feet from the level of the eyes down to the ground. You like to have this condition left, right, up, and down on all sides of the object vanishing point, preferably. But since most objects appear to tower above the level of the eyes, where the vanishing point appears to be when you're looking down a hallway, these conditions don't apply past the horizon, where everything 6 feet or below appears to vanish down to a vanishing point. So because of the lack of symmetry from being too close to the ground, the wall, or the ceiling, you're going to get a horizon that forms, and past that horizon, it's going to be very hard to render a symmetrical image.
Complete horseshit.
Yeah, there was a lot of bullshit again.
Just logic. You guys are talking about idealized conditions with more of that
Logic
weird
and reason again.
yet again, that is removed from reality. In that most of the principles you derive perspective off of assume an idealized equal room on all sides of the vanishing point of the object. That simply is not there in reality. Most objects tower well above where the vanishing point of the object would tend to form. That's on an object that's sticking up out of the ground. So, yet again, your idealism ignores reality entirely and gets lost in a useless world of disconnected ideas.
So you've actually done the calculations on anything that you see in the distance to determine that they should be at that vanishing point, Lemon? See, that you got a thing called the Rayleigh criterion, which is what you're talking about. And there's calculations you can do for that. You can tell if an object should be unresolvable or resolvable depending on its size and its distance from you. Have you done those calculations, Lemon? Or are you just talking out your ass like normal?
Life is Short did them, and Raichi 5
No, he
other
didn't.
people
No, he didn't. He
demonstrated the
lied.
general concept by simply getting close to the floor, the wall, or the ceiling. So that's enough for me.
No, he didn't do any calculations. He presented, just like Gary Wybenga did, a drawing or an illustration combining side view and perspective view. That's what he did. He's a liar just like you are, and just like Gary is.
And you're a poor theorist like most Globers. Your theory doesn't match reality, number one. And number two, the idealized principles it's derived of don't even apply to the instances you're invoking. So it's just a bunch of theoretical garbage. But basically,
that's rich. Wow.
Relations. When you have equal room up, down, and left and right from the vanishing point of the object, these conditions obviously do not apply since most objects tower above where this vanishing point would form at the level of the eyes of the observer at ground level. So your idealized abstractions are just worthless and meaningless beyond that point.
Boom time.
Nice opinion. Nice opinion there, Lemon.
Boom time over here. I gotta say a big thank you and big shout out to C4. C4 came through and jumped in right now in YouTube chats. I see that he sent me a PayPal of $10. Thank you, C4. You are the man, brother. Really, 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 really thank you. There's a comment here. I heard it was some old man's birthday. Well, I'm here to say birthdays are fake. Happy birthday, brother. C4, thank you very, very, very much. I really appreciate it. And then, just now, just popped in another super chat by Citizen 9A. Happy birthday, Jose. Here's a little towards the Let's Get Smoosh Fund. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Citizen 9. And he made it on time to say happy boom day. Can't stay long, but also his girlfriend's birthday. Glad I made it for a few minutes at least. Hey, happy birthday to your girlfriend. We are twins. Oh, shit. But now, don't be thinking about you making out. When you make out with your girlfriend later, you making out with me because that wouldn't be a pretty sight. Thank you very much, Citizen 9, for your support. Boom to you, brother. Boom to everybody. I didn't even have to say that. I spoiled that. I'll spoil it for him now. Thank you, guys. I'm being myself. I'll let you guys take the floor.
I just want to say something fast to Lemonberg.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Crow something before he left too.
What were you saying, other person, about the question?
Yeah, this is Crux. I wanna ask you, not ask you, just to tell you a couple of things. So the first thing, if you tell me the black swan proves A, B, C, or whatever, I will tell you no because A, B, C, whatever. I have another rebuttal for what you say because this is a famous sighting or footage. But sometimes you base your opinion on things that are not that famous. Like I didn't see what Tracy say about perspective. So yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing, you said once that you don't know much about things. Like most of us, we know a little about everything here and there. So when you try to fill the spaces with the precise and sophisticated words, that doesn't help us. At least for me, maybe because I'm not English is not my mother tongue, so I get lost when you explain things. When you say acute or quantities or whatever these things, I just want to say that sometimes I'm lost when I listen to you. And thank you, Lemon, for hearing me.
You always keep an honest opinion.
One second, Brian. I want to hear let Lemon rebut that, and then you have a turn.
Yep.
But I need 10 seconds to thanks Martin. Martin also came through with a big $10 present for my birthday. Thank you very much, Martin. He say, Mark Lemon Ting. Lemon happy lemon birthday. Lemon Jose. Thank you, Martin. That was the roll of the tongue. Thank you very much for your support. Lemon, if you want to address what Cali said, and then Brian can have a go.
Happy birthday, Jose. Thank you. I don't really have much else to say. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. The problem is you get I do like to speak in a higher register with better words than you normally find. It is what it is. It's just the way that I prefer to communicate. But you have people saying that you're saying word salad out of one side of their mouth. And then they say, okay, well, try to make it, less word salady. Then you try to use common sense examples like a hallway that most people can use to derive some of these principles. And then they still act like you're speaking Greek, even though in a hallway we see most of these principles where the part of the visual scene that's higher in altitude, higher above the level of the eyes than the observer, appears to ramp down, and the part that's below the level of the eyes appears to ramp up. Most of the rest of the principles of why a horizon forms between these two zones of vision that appear to come together as a horizon line, you can basically define from there. But either you're saying word salad for some people or your examples are too common sense for their liking. So at that point, you're darned if you do, darned if you don't, with words that are too advanced and too scary for some people, or just too dumbed down and too common sense for their snobby sensibilities.
We don't have separate zones of vision, Lemon Bird. We see about 180 degrees in all direct, in up, down, left, or right. It isn't divided into zones. There's only one zone. It's what we see. Stop misusing optics because you know nothing about it.
I'll give you a chance to be as deceptive as Moyak was, or whoever the hell I was talking to when I asked them this question. How else would you define the part of vision, whatever it is, that appears to ramp down versus the part of vision, whatever it is, looking down a hallway that appears to ramp up? If you don't define it as two halves of vision, how would you define it, Mr. Sticky Fingers?
Hey, Lemon, let me make a point with Crow, man, before y'all
Can
descend
I
into
answer
chaos.
this, or are you going to interrupt me? I define it with mathematics. What we see.
Hold on, you let Sean jump in, man. You said I was right after Lemon, man, after he responded.
Hold on, Mr. Sticky Fingers
asked
is
me a
quick. I'll
question,
give the floor over to you. Just hold on just a second. Mr. Sticky
What
Fingers.
we see is a 2D representation of the 3D world we live in. It's math, Lemon. Deal with it. There's no
Okay,
separate zone of vision, half up and half down, based on a 6-foot height of a person. That's ridiculous. You know nothing about optics.
All right. Thank you so much for that beautiful response. What were you saying,
Yeah, let's get
Mr.
Brian Leake is in the house. Shout out to Tiny Captain for the 199 euros, saying that he is new. Thank you for the super chat, Tiny Captain. Brian Leake, you're up, bro.
Hey, I wanted to run this. Crow, you still there?
Yeah.
You always give me an honest opinion, man. So okay, I'm on the east coast of the United States, and if I look at my globe, I'm looking at it right now, or if I go to Google Earth, east for me puts me south of the equator, between Australia, just past Africa, like off the coast of Africa. And now if you take a similar longitude, fairly close, would be Peru, South America, which is below the equator. And if you east for Peru, puts it north of the equator, just past Africa. Okay, do you have a problem with that statement?
And when you say east, that's the direction if you throw a bullet or something like that.
Yeah, like if I follow east, then of course I'm gonna circle around. But the direction I look in east, you agree with that, right?
Yeah, at some points it will not be east. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so a straight line east is so we're told. I've been testing the parallel sun rays, and would you agree that the math works out to where you, to change 1 degree you have to move approximately, just a little over 1 million miles to for the sun angles to change 1 degree?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm told is on the equinox, the sun rises east for everybody. So if I am looking at the sunrise, and I'm talking about just the sunrise, no other time, no the rest of the day, just one point in time. If I'm looking east at the sunrise on the equinox, and someone in Peru is also looking east at the sunrise and on the equinox at the same time, would you agree that that gives problem to the sun's parallel light rays? Because you
No, no,
our east
because
crisscrosses though, so you can't have
no,
both. In my opinion, you can't have both. You can't have parallel sun rays and us both looking at the sun crisscrossed uh, within a few thousand miles.
no, because the difference between your line of east moving east, starting point east, and then you don't look at the compass anymore. You just continue the same direction that sends you south of the equator. That's because you're moving the surface of the Earth. But the sunlight, it's coming in a straight line from the sun. It doesn't follow its path is not on the Earth.
Right. When I first heard about flat Earth, that's the first experiment I did with a lady named Karen. Flat Earth Matters for anybody who wants to check out her channel. This was a long time ago, and I went doing an experiment, and I ran a string line. I brought a compass and looked at Google and did a compass online, and I pulled string lines, and I had a string line pointing directly, and sure enough, the sun came up and it split my string line in half, and I was just tickled to death that when the sun came up, it split my string line in half. Well, when I go to Google Earth, that angle, okay, is takes me south of the equator, like I said, just past Africa. And so somebody in Peru, they were to run a string line, and the sun would cross. In other words, our lines of sight for a particular moment in time crisscross the equator just a few thousand miles away. This would lend to one or the other. In my opinion, like I said, you can't have parallel sun rays with when we're looking at the sun at the same exact time, and we're looking east, and they're not parallel.
May I answer?
Tiny.
But you notice he gave you the same answer I gave you before.
He just discovered that there is a magnetic variation between the true north and the magnetic north.
No, I don't think
On
he's
Google,
talking about
if you go to Google on the WGS84 or whatever model, east is east. If you're above the equator, east converges at the equator, a certain distance. And if you're south of the equator, east, due east, 90 degrees from north or 90 degrees from south, converges at the equator. That's the globe model. Okay. And I've always argued, to me, I have problems. I can't get sunrise in Australia to work on the globe. This is where this all originated from. And then I come up with the parallel sun rays.
Hold on, Lemon. I got a quick question for Brian. Slightly off topic, but still on topic because we've been talking about this for the past few days. Earth is Life. Thank you very much. That was $5 super chat. How Brian is asking how he was able to create an Analima in Space Engine. Space Engine is a computer program. He was able to create an Analima that matches exactly what we see in reality. I don't know if you know how Space Engine works. It's kind of a scale model of the solar system and all the stuff. And he was able to put the observer position in a specific place on Earth, take a picture every day for a certain amount of time, and he actually created an Analima. And this is modeled on everything heliocentric stations. What do you think about that?
That's cool, man. I'd be interested in seeing that. But so that shows no matter where you go, you're going to get looping sun arcs in the southern hemisphere, no matter where you go.
But I think what he implies is that it works because he haven't seen any other model, any other settings that will work besides the heliocentric world that we live in.
Oh. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that, man. He brings up some good points, man. But here's my problem, man. I want to compromise is the point I'm at in my life. I want to compromise, but I can't get people to deal with obvious problems. They ignore them. Like people just look right past this. Like I said, my east is crisscrossing with somebody south of the equator, directly south of the equator for me, then you can't have both. You can't have east converging at the equator, making the Australian sunrise come from the making it work on a globe, which to me it doesn't, or have parallel sunrise. You can't have them both. But I can't get people to address obvious problems. If we fix some of these obvious problems, I might join the team.
Can I
Well,
add
the problem, Leaky.
Can I interject?
Uh-huh.
I can't seem to make open heart surgery work, and I can't understand open heart surgery, and I can't understand how I can't do that outside of the body. You know why? Because I don't know a damn thing about medicine. I wonder why you can't get stuff to work.
Well, that's why I brought up a simple argument, so even you'd understand, Sean. Do you understand what I'm saying? If our
No,
east,
you don't
if our
understand
east
the
crisscross,
information you're dealing
I thought
with.
I'd get the response. Sorry.
Cool.
You don't understand the information you're dealing with, therefore you can't make it work. It's worked.
Well, that's why I asked if he agreed first.
We've proven
Sean,
it works.
let me ask you, Sean.
We've proven it.
That's why I asked if he agreed before I even presented it. He agreed that that we'd have to travel. It's actually like 1,600,000 miles to get the sun's angle to change 1 degree, according to a 93 million mile sun. Okay. He also agreed that according to Google Earth and according to the globe, that if east converges at the equator and crosses the equator at a certain distance, whether he's agreeing with the exact distance, if you go to Google Earth, east crisscrosses. So if somebody's in Peru and I'm looking east and they're looking east, our lines of sight cross like right off the coast of Africa. Okay, and then they crisscross if you start heading off into space. So you can't have parallel sun rays and on the equinox if we're looking at east at the sun at the same time. You understand
I
that,
gave
Sean?
the answer. I did give the answer to that, Brian.
Well, the problem is we're looking at due east as if it is crisscrossing grid lines when we know that perspective isn't a crisscrossing grid line. I can show you two parallel lines that will appear to converge visually at some sort of vanishing point or vanishing plane at the horizon. So due east for you may be due east for me too, but they're going to appear to converge into a horizon or some sort of vanishing point and or vanishing plane anyway. And as we know from realistic perspective drawing, based off of similar realistic principles to realistically depict a scene, you have to spread out the vanishing points at the horizon and not put them all at one point. You have to have a vanishing point here, a vanishing point there, a vanishing point there, seemingly spread out, ideally on a plane if you're talking about the horizon and the vanishing points at horizon. So due east for you is due east for me too, but it's just converging at the horizon differently with a bunch of different vanishing points for the sun setting into the horizon or rising from the horizon at due east, seemingly out of the horizon here versus there, but just basically at the same visual plane. It's just trying to have this idealized east-west grid line and have these geometric squares where east is here versus east is there, versus looking at it with perspective where even parallel lines appear to converge. These are very questionable principles that the globers are using for their weird modeling and their weird principles. It just doesn't work.
Well, what does make it work is if you consider the fact that the sun's light changes by 1 degree about every 60 nautical miles, then that works perfect. And also on the flat Earth model, if you put the sun on the equinox past the coast of Africa, it'd be rising for Peru and me at about the same time, and we'd both be looking at it.
Well, there's one problem with the comparison that you're making. You're comparing a straight line that's from the sun to your eyes, and a path on the globe on a curved surface. That path is going to crisscross, but the straight line is just a straight line.
We got a map.
What do you mean a straight line? I'm talking about a line of sight.
There's a map drawn. There's a map drawn by Lemonbird. I got it all.
Also, Brian. Those
You see,
angles to Polaris do not work on a flat Earth. They
Yeah,
do
they
not
do.
match
My
latitude
refraction
on a
model.
flat Earth.
I've
You
modified
do
my
not get
refraction model.
60
I got it down
nautical
pat.
miles of travel per 1 degree of angular change for Polaris on a flat Earth.
Yeah. All you got
but
to do is
Sean, that works
apply
looking
my
down a
refraction model,
hallway.
man. Well, I've solved
But
that problem, Sean.
But Sean, that works looking down a hallway. You have a light in the ceiling of the hallway, just like the sun appears to be in the ceiling of the outside, staying at the same elevation based off of the way that it appears to ramp down to the observer. The light in the hallway will dip 1 degree per foot. Polaris will dip down 1 degree per 69 miles over a flat surface. The shape of the surface itself, whether it's a flat or a ball, is irrelevant. So you trying to use it like it's some sort of slam dunk for the globe is just absurd. It works either way.
No, it doesn't. I've proven it with my model, with my drawing, and with my 3D model. So no, it does not work. One.
Yeah, until you look at it in reality, and at 30 degrees, it starts slowing down, Sean. And so I got to refract.
Yeah, but Brian,
no, it doesn't.
Let me finish.
How does Polaris slow down, Brian? How does Polaris slow down?
I'm talking about all the other stars, Sean. Let me finish.
No, I'm talking about Polaris, dude. How does Polaris slow down?
I'm talking about the stars.
No, I'm talking about Polaris.
I'm talking about Polaris. Saying it moves. Listen, let me finish my point, okay? All right,
or
I
I'm
can
talking
see
about
Polaris
a star
slow down.
in the Big Dipper. That's
calm
not
down, bro. Please calm down. I can see Polaris doesn't
because refraction makes them appear to slow down. See, you cherry pick that little narrow angle of view because you can't deal with the rest of the sky. Polaris,
yes, I can.
Dropping 1 degree,
you let me finish,
60 nautical miles is only possible on a sphere.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Sean. Hold on, Lemon. I never even got to finish, but let me ask Sean. If I triangulate Polaris out to if I triangulate it on a flat Earth, and I go 69 miles, okay, how high does that put Polaris?
What latitude are you?
89.
89 degrees latitude?
Yeah, I go 69 miles from underneath Polaris. I go 69 miles away, and I triangulate it. What's the height of Polaris?
It's 1 degree from where you saw it.
I'm asking you the height of Polaris. If I go 1 degree, if I travel 69 miles and Polaris drops 1 degree, what does that put the height to Polaris on a flat plane?
It doesn't change the height. You'd have to know the height first.
How are you arguing flat Earth when you don't even understand the height of Polaris with a 1 degree change? You don't even know the trig. So how can you make this argument, Sean?
You've not given me the information I need to determine.
Yes, I am.
Now,
okay.
You go for 45
You travel 69 miles. Once again, you travel 60.
Let me finish my answer. You're interrupting my answer, Brian.
The question is, what height is Polaris on a flat Earth?
Let me do this, Brian.
If you go midway between the North Pole or the center of your disk and the equator, where we don't see Polaris anymore, which is 45 degrees latitude, you will get a height of Polaris on your flat Earth of about 3959 miles.
At what degree?
Now, if you walk 1 degree
at what degree did you say I get 3959, Sean, please?
If you walk 69 miles south, the degree of angular change of Polaris will not be 1 degree. And if
what was your answer? Was that your answer?
If you go to 30 degrees latitude, the change will not be consistent with what we see in reality.
What was your answer to the question, John?
I've proven this.
You okay? Now, here's the model. Okay, the only thing it would take would be refraction. Okay, we don't measure the opposite heights to stars in either model. The only thing we know is that this is empirical evidence, is that every 60 nautical miles, the stars tend to drop by around 1 degree. Okay, that's empirical. So when you ask for opposite, hold on, let me finish. God dang it. Let me finish. Let me make my point, please. So when you ask for opposite height, okay, when you ask for height, okay, I would ask you the same thing on your model. What's the height to stars? Okay, we don't figure out heights to stars in either model, so that's not fair. But if you want to, I'll give you a refraction model that I just modified. If you want to make the distances match what we see empirically, the refraction model would be 90 minus a being the angle, over 90 plus a divided by 10 times d times point A. And that's the refraction model. It's a ratio for refraction, and the angles and the distances work out just fine until you get closer to the horizon.
So that's just something you made up to confirm your bias. Great. When
it's measured. It's measured, Sean.
If you start under Polaris and you walk 69 miles, that angular change will be close to a degree, but the further you go south, it will not change in 1 degree for every 69 miles you walk. Brian, I've proven this.
Right. So something's going on. So either the light's curving due to refraction, or the Earth's curving. Now we say that the light is curving. And hold on a second. Now,
can I fucking finish? Perpendicular to the atmosphere, be refracted, Brian.
I can't have a conversation with you, Sean. I go to respond, and you cut me off.
You keep going, Brian. You make a point, and then you reiterate the point, and then you explain the reiteration of the point.
All
you never
I
let
said,
people
John, was that. All I said was that
anybody answer you. You asked 30 questions at once.
I waited my turn, dude, and I said that it's either the ground curving or the light curving. Would you agree with that?
The ground curves.
Okay, but if it's not the ground curving, it would have to be the light bending, right?
Explain your bullshit, man.
If the ground's not bending, it would have to be the light bending, right? That's the only other logical answer, right?
No. Well, yeah.
Okay, what else could it be then, Sean?
Directly overhead, Brian.
What else could it be, Sean?
The Earth's curved, dude. The Earth.
So you like to have a refraction model. You like to have refraction 7/6R, but you're telling
you're for 2,500 goddamn years, man.
Why is my working out this problem pissing you off, dude? Just because I work this problem out, you're getting all pissed off, bro. Look, the globe's allowed to have a refraction model, but we can't. You use 7/6R, plus you have celestial refraction, terrestrial refraction to work out what doesn't fit your model to make it work. Okay, so
when you're looking through an atmosphere,
here's what I did. Okay,
perpendicular.
I can't talk. This guy he cuts me off every 10 seconds, man. I'm gonna back off.
Anything above 25 degrees isn't consequential.
To see the thing about your model, Brian, your refraction model, Brian, has to match. I mean, you have to have it light that would match what you're saying is your flat Earth refraction.
Well, the problem with having light curve, gentlemen, is that makes things a bit more uncertain. If the Earth is curving, it at least is a geometric object that appears to take on definite dimension and shape. Light curving is not quite like that. Light doesn't have a shape or any sort of determinate quality, number one, for us to determine whether or not it's bending in the first place until we shape it into a laser form and put it in sugar water, number one. And number two, what is light curving relative to? You're saying that light curves, but not saying what standard it's curving against. So now for us to know whether light is curving, we need yet another standard that is unquestioned to check whether the light is curving or not. And the only standard that I've been able to infer based off of the way you guys are talking is your idealistic philosophical standard of what light should or should not be doing. That puts us in the realm of bland philosophy and idealism with little to no way to check that. I'm fine with philosophical opinions like light is curving. But if you can't say what it is relative to, then your ideological statements are bland and, frankly, possibly removed from reality.
It's just for modeling sake, Lemon, and it's just for the sake of modeling it out and working for like sextant purposes. But what it does is you wherever you're at, you take an angle measurement to, let's just use Polaris for simplicity's sake because it doesn't move. Okay, we get an angle. Okay, then we triangulate and get the distance to that angle, and then we apply the refraction ratio, and then we solve the equation. It's a little bit modified. I had it before, but I had come up with one modification. But I'm gonna post the video But to show you that light is it tends upward, I have plenty of real world examples, not just an ad hoc 7/6 operation. This is actual angles measured and actual triangulated distances. And to make it work, the whole point is the reason I say light's bending, for lack of better words, what I'm saying is that change is 1 degree every 69 miles. Okay, so it's either so something's changing 1 degree every 69 miles, and if it's not the ground curving, which I'll concede maybe it is the ground curving, but if it's not, then the light is bending, whatever you want to put it. I'm not saying I know what the stars and the sun, all that shit is. It's just for modeling's sake.
You're in the right way to actually test it with the sextants and the calculations that's supposed to go. But you need to write books and the right calculations. The thing is, light is also bending there. That's why we have the nautical almanacs and nautical tables to actually get that in the equation. But you're correct. That actually, yeah, you can use a sextant to determine if the Earth is curving or not. And that's why I know that's actually curving.
See,
I posted the refraction model in Discord. The only difference is instead of 90 minus A over 90, it's 90 minus A over 90 plus A divided by 10. And it starts failing, when you start getting closer to the horizon. And then you'd have to add, some terrestrial refraction in. Same thing as on the globe model. When it starts getting close to the horizon, it starts giving problems. But it's just for modeling's sake. That's all it is, to solve that problem of. But yeah, I agree with what the guy said. And so we're not in either model. We're not the opposite side to get the height to stars. Okay, so but that's a straw man bringing that up as an argument for a flat Earth globe. Because if you're gonna make me solve the height to stars, then I'm gonna challenge you the same thing, and it's not gonna work in your model either. You're not gonna get accurate height to your stars. So that's a straw man argument. But just for sake of dropping that argument, I've just solved it with a
Actually, we can calculate.
Can I say something? Brian interrupted me. I waited for at least 10 seconds to speak, and then as soon as I started talking, Brian talked over me. So we don't need to know the height of the star, Brian. It's millions of miles away. Millions and millions and millions of miles away. It is at an infinite height. We measure the angle to it, and that angle only works on a curve. It does not equate to latitude on a flat plane. It does not. In order for, let's say, you to find the GP of a star, right, or find your ground position, that circle, with your 90-degree angle and all that, what Nathan Oakley and all those idiots try and push, you'd have to know the height of your star. The thing you're looking at, you'd have to know that height. Because if it was shorter, that circle would be smaller. If it was higher, the circle would be bigger. So in order to establish the size of that circle, you have to know the height of that star.
You mean the circle of equal altitude? So let me ask you a question then, Sean.
Yes,
is your circle of equal altitude?
Your circle of equal altitude.
Can I ask you a question in response? Is your circle of equal altitude?
The answer? Are you going to accept the answer? Because all you do is ask questions you know beforehand you will not accept the answers to. So are you going to be honest and humble and accept the answer when I give it to you?
Can I ask you a question, okay? And I'll tell you if I accept the answer, but I got to ask the question, don't I? Can you not interrupt me asking if I'll accept the answer? Okay. Would you consider the circles of equal altitude? Okay. Am I parallel? Are they parallel to each other?
What are you talking about? You mean
circle of equal
are they
altitude.
collinear?
If you triangulate
Are they
3 stars,
collinear?
okay,
You mean are they
are they,
collinear, as if
are they
drawn on a
parallel
flat
with the
floor?
surface of the Earth? Are they parallel with the surface of the Earth? Or are they parallel with each other?
They are a cross section of the Earth.
So they're all parallel with each other then,
Inside
right?
the circle, in the center of that
Nope.
circle, if you were to take that circle and put it on a floor, you'd have a bowl. Because the surface of that Earth, the surface inside that circle is a dish, is a dome shape.
So it's flat. Flat.
No, it's
No.
it's a circle that basically,
it's a flat section.
If you were to make
No.
that circle a knife, a flexible knife, and draw it closed, what it would cut off would be a dome.
Okay, a slice of the Earth. So it's parallel with the basically my line of sight. The whole circle.
It's perpendicular with the center of gravity.
Welcome to flat Earth.
No,
No,
a circle is a 1D.
Out of that.
I got a super chat comment. I gotta read, and this is the perfect moment that I could find in between. Earth is Life with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for your support, Earth is Life. I appreciate that. We're getting close to the end of the show, so I'm gonna let it run another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll do a round of final thoughts. But Earth is Life says, Brian wants us to pay attention to his model, but won't pay attention to anything we present. Do you agree with that statement?
No, man. I studied the models. I'm into the models. I understand the heliocentric models, and there's a few problems with they all seem to have explanations, but there's a couple of them without explanations, and the one is the main one. If we're looking east at the same time, the parallel sun rays it fails on multiple levels.
No, it doesn't.
And so if I'm looking and somebody in Peru at the same time is looking at the same time, we're both looking east, and our lines of sight crisscross at the coast of Africa, how could that be a parallel? How could the sun's rays be parallel if our lines of sight are converging?
Because if you look through east, you do not cross sides.
Say that again.
If you look through east, you do not cross sides.
That's just it. If I follow east, then right, it just works its way on around. But that's why I'm bringing up just one point in time, the equinox, and everybody looks due east. Okay, the sun rises due east for everybody. So I pick somebody whose sun rises at the same time as me, and if you draw out my due east on Google Earth or a globe, it hits the equator right off the coast of Africa, and the same thing for somebody in the southern hemisphere. So our due east is converging. Okay,
No. True east is not conversion.
You go up in space and you look at all the shadows.
Then you have another
problem. At all the shadows of the lines of those sticks that are all the different latitudes. They will be parallel, Brian.
So he just said due east is not converging. So my east.
True east.
Is not, so my whatever east, due east. Okay,
no,
90 degrees.
There's not whatever east. Is a true and is a magnetic east.
No, that doesn't matter. Listen, when you draw east, okay, when you draw due east or compass east or magnetic east, globe.
Compass east, magnetic compass east
equator,
is
okay. So
compass magnetic east is different from true east.
If you follow it, but if you just take one reading in one spot, it converges at the equator. If you're north of the or south of the equator, if you just take one reading from one spot, they converge. Okay?
No,
they don't. They don't. And you have other problems.
True doesn't convert.
You think of stuff in your head and you convince yourself it's true, and then you try and convince us it isn't, that it is, and we know it isn't. We know it's complete horse shit, and you get...
What is horse shit? Tell me exactly what is horse shit, Sean.
A true east does not convert.
That's
the thing.
Listen, east at equinox. East at equinox is not It is not due.
Brian, you're drawing lines across the surface of a sphere. You can't see the equator from where you're standing. When you look due east from your meridian, you see what? 4 miles, 5 miles. You are looking at the sun. If the sun is due east, you're looking due east. Everybody's seeing the same thing.
Brian,
right? But you say my line of sight, but my due east converges at the equator. You can't have both. You can't have parallel sun rays.
Brian, if you draw that line, if you
please look at this.
If you try drawing that geodesic on the surface of a sphere,
I'm going to do it one last time here.
There's only one red circle at east-west, and that's the Mediterranean.
I'm really sorry. Using words isn't going to help here. It really isn't. Brian, please just look at my screen just for 60 seconds. Let me know when you can see it.
Stingray.
Stingray, Blue just said it's a geodesic. Okay.
No. Please just look at me.
Right.
Just.
I got your screen up, Stingray.
$60 seconds.
Intersect
Just
the
60
equator.
seconds.
Can you answer me that? No, I'm all yours.
Right, look at this. This is the equinox. This is the sun over here with parallel light rays. It's coming in and it is casting shadows. We can see this. In fact, I'll move this blue thing out of the way a little bit. There we go. We can see it's casting these shadows. These shadows are going directly east on the equinox for these two big things that are coming out of the Earth. Now,
yeah, but if you follow them shadows, they converge at the equator.
Correct. Now look at this. If I take that initial direction east and do not follow east, which wraps round a globe, then look what happens. I end up at the equator. Now, when I do that,
you follow them shadows. They
look at this.
converge, bud.
Look at this. So now, if I do this, can you see anything a little bit funky here? This is all predictable on a globe. It 100% works 100% of the time, all the time. Look at it.
Okay, then what you're showing your shadow converging at the equator. Okay, you're showing your shadows converging at the equator. So if I'm looking at the sun, our lines of sight are converging. I don't care what you say and how you twist it. If our lines of sight are converging off the coast of Africa, then your sun ain't 93 million miles away, pal.
Right. So very importantly, Brian, take away the globe and we are looking all parallel to each other. Put us on the globe and use these lines as direction. They're going to diverge because they wrap around this sphere. Just like this blue thing is showing us. If this guy up here initially takes a due east direction and doesn't follow the compass or true direction and just takes that vector, look at the direction they go. They diverge. This is what Khaled told you. You diverge away from east and you end up on the equator. But all of this model predicts exactly what we see, and it's still using parallel light.
He's not
your model does not predict that. Okay, your model breaks down. Listen, if I'm looking east at the sun, and I'm looking in the direction of the equator, okay, a few thousand miles away, and somebody south of the equator is also looking, our lines of sight are converging. Just like if you draw a line on Google Maps, they are converging at the equator. Okay, they're supposed to converge. Listen, our lines of sight. Hold on, our lines of sight are supposed to be parallel.
Look at this. I'll tell you what.
No,
we'll do this.
Your line of sight will be east, due east. The direction you travel when you follow that line of sight will be curved around the sphere, Brian.
Brian, can you see my screen?
No, it'll be a geodesic. Blue just said it'll be a
Brian,
geodesic.
Look at my screen.
Go to Google Earth and draw east and see where that gets you, Sean. Just go to Google Earth and check it.
No, look. Are you looking at my screen, Brian?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Right, cool. So these two observers, which is on the equinox, tell me what you want me to do exactly. These two observers, these lines now are pointed in the direction of the light. the light is parallel. We can tell that because these bars are actually in shadow because the light is so parallel, it's only lighting up the ends. These two observers...
You're not drawing geodesics, bud. You're not drawing geodesics.
Look at this. These are two
Drawing line of
parallel
sight.
lines looking at the sun. Now, this blue thing here represents the path if we followed the inverse of the shadow. Now, can you see what happens? The shadow will stay pointed in alignment with this plane because of the parallel
due
lines.
east. Due east will always give you a geodesic no matter where you're at.
But when we're up there, the shadow is east. When we start following this, the shadow isn't east anymore in that. And it's predicted by a damn sphere. And it matches reality so much so.
Stingray, it's not predicted. Geodesic is always... If you draw if any due east on your globe Earth is going to make a geodesic. Period. Your shadow, if your sun is due east, then your shadow is going to be opposite of a geodesic, a great circle. Okay, and they're always going to converge at the equator. Okay, there's no getting around it.
You're talking about line of sight, Brian. You're talking about line of sight, not direction.
Big shout out to John Watson. He gave me a little bit more money. That was £5 for John Watson. More for the birthday hookers and blow fund. Thank you very much. Now I got like 10 for hookers and blows. Shout out to John Watson.
Stingray, can you put that blue square back on the equator? Then I want
And to any kids
explain
watching,
something.
we're talking about bubbles and fishing.
You see, Brian, that's a blue circle on the equator. That's the only great circle that is actually due east. The other lines above and below it are also due east or due west. Depends on which way you are looking.
Yeah, I'm following.
I mean, Brian, I can load up the model of the planet Earth and show you that everything works, but I just thought this has got the east and west lines on that allow us to see that this observer up here, if they follow the direction they're looking, they diverge away from the globe rotation east-west, which means they're looking east here, but when they go halfway around, they're not. When they go all the way around, now they're looking straight up. They're not looking in any direction. It's because it's a globe. But this is all still using parallel light rays, and these two observer directions are still parallel.
Brian, let's say thank you, Hapax Legos. Hapax Legos gave me $10 on PayPal saying happy birthday. Thank you, Hapax Legos. I appreciate it, brother. Diamond.
And that is why a great circle route is constantly changing course to have the shortest route.
You broke up there, Brian, for us. All right, let me read the super chat by Doofus Manfred. $5. Thank you very much, Doofus. I appreciate that. I see Brian Leake is still confused about how directions on spheres work. Big shocker. Also, light bends down at 20 feet AGL or above. Happy birthday, Jose. AGL. Light bends down at 20 feet AGL or above. Thank you very much, Doofus Manfred. What?
I'm not.
At ground level.
Yeah, just Brian, if you look at this rod now, this rod that I've got highlighted followed the east direction, but not maintaining east. It followed a single direction and didn't care about east anymore. Now, when it got down here, even though this observer up here is seeing a parallel light ray create a shadow east on a globe, can you see what direction the shadow is down here, even though it's the same light source and it's still parallel?
Let me respond. Okay, that's why. Okay, and I got a video. I can get it. Okay, look, when I did not, due east is 90 degrees to north. Okay, so on the equinox here at the beach, okay, off the coast of Florida, I went out there, measured, I pulled pulled a string line going straight north, according to the compass, whatever. And then I pulled a string line 90 degrees from that and waited for the sun to come up. We waited about 20 minutes. The sun came up and split my string line. So you can draw your. This I've done in real life. You can repeat it. It's going to be due east and on the WGS 84 on a globe model and Google Earth.
Brian, it's very
At the
simple.
equator. It's also pointing towards Africa. It's converging.
I gotta read this one more time. Now I got a word. Now I got a complete thought. Also, light bends down at 20 feet above ground level or above. Oh, it's at ground level or above. Yeah, light bends down at 20 feet at ground level or above. Happy birthday.
Brian, it's very simple. Because it's a globe, it's due east just on the location you are. If you move a little bit, it's not due east anymore.
That's the point I was trying to make.
But my line of sight is pointing towards Africa.
Yeah,
okay?
but
It's
that must be a curved
leaves
line.
the surface of the earth. Right.
My line of sight is a
Your line of
geodesic.
sight to the sun leaves the surface of the earth. It goes straight to the sun.
So on the earth, it's a curved line.
So that wouldn't be parallel. If we're both looking toward the equator, it's not parallel.
Yeah, you would
and
be.
you can repeat this, man. You can
Yeah, it will be parallel because it will be a curved line on the earth.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, look at these lines here, these latitude lines. They are that you can class them as parallel, but when you choose one direction up here, this is the line that your vision is taking. But all of this is still using parallel light. You are illustrating a problem that actually isn't a problem and is only evident and apparent on a globe.
I have a question for Brian. Brian, did you say that you were trying to settle down with a flat Earth model? You were looking for the right flat Earth model? Is that what you said?
I'm trying to get answers instead of like I have a couple of key points, and that's these parallel sun rays. And so I've modeled out Polaris and the angles and all that shit for the sex and all that, and come up with an equation, to satisfy. But okay, I'll be honest and say that as far as the globe model, there's been more time put into it. It mathematically works out better. But there are some key points. There are some problems that people are not addressing, man. And I got two more besides this key problem, simple to point out, and I just get to me, I get whistled past. If I'm looking east, if I'm looking at the sun, which I am on the equinox, I pulled a string line on the equinox. I know if we follow it, but anytime you're on a globe and you pull a line 90 degrees to north, it's a geodesic. Okay, now them geodesics on a globe, they either cross the equator, they either converge at the equator, okay, or you're going to have parallel sun rays. To me, you can't have both. You can't just do sticks and shadows. I'm talking about one point in time, not following it. I did this. Anybody could do this in real life. And if we're looking toward the equator, we're looking in crisscross patterns.
Yeah, you've explained that problem a couple times. Let me be really precise with my question.
We're close to get out of
This
here.
paradox that you've come up with here, how does it help, or does this help you find a flat Earth model? And if so, how?
No, not really.
Can I give you download a free program, OpenCPN, and try to draw because it has
Is that for computer? Brian doesn't mess with computers.
It's okay. You can also have it on a phone. There's a free version on the phone. There's a free version on any computer, and you can draw a straight line on it from half the globe, from north part and the south part, and it will try to give you a curved line because this is a shorter line. And that's the whole thing about why you think it's actually crisscross, the line crisscross each other, because on a globe it's not a straight line.
Well, basically, we could have the land curving and or the sky above the ground curving. And so the question is the ground curving? That's why we use lasers. Lasers appear to use the least number of assumptions, and both sides more or less agree that lasers travel pretty straight and true over the land and don't say curve at 8 inches per mile squared
Assuming the light
to
doesn't
prove
bend.
some level of curvature of the land.
Assuming the light doesn't bend.
I have a question
Well,
for
does light
Brian.
bend? Sure, but at that point, the next question, Jose, is how much is it bending in relative to what straight standard?
A
This
little
is
or
where
a lot.
Globers fall silent and just basically say it bends, but don't say how much
It bends
relative to
a
what
lot and
standard
it bends
or
a little.
how.
It bends a little or it bends a lot. It just bends.
Does
And
it
I
bend at 8
wasn't.
inches per mile squared? Of
No,
course
no,
not.
it
So
bends
it's still the
depends on the
straightest standard that we have.
depends on the medium and the density, and it just bends. So I cannot trust
And I
What
wasn't
a
sort
asking.
beam
of
of light to be
medium
straight.
would bend light at what sort of medium would bend light at 8 inches per mile squared? I thought that light didn't need a medium to travel. Therefore, what's happening with the medium to bend the light would be thought of as irrelevant, one would think logically. So,
Logically,
why
the
is
light
this light
bends.
bending? Is it because of gravity? It
Logically,
doesn't
the
need a
light
medium to travel in the current theory. Why?
logically the light bends because we live in a dynamic atmosphere and there's density, and that make the light bends. Big shout out to Earth is Life, $5 super chat. Brian, problems with the model are only your own misunderstanding. Once you figure that out, you'll finally get out. Earth is Life, super chat. Thank you.
Even
Lemon
going through
Bird,
Well,
space,
Lemon
light
Bird,
is
I
going
wasn't
through a
talking to
medium.
you, and I didn't want to
He,
listen to your word salad. I was just explaining something to Brian, and I had a normal conversation with Brian. Thank you.
I need to. We need to. I
space
need to
is
get
a
out of here.
medium.
We need to do final
Wait,
thoughts.
wait,
Everybody,
hold
everybody
on.
will have your point that you want to either ask a question, make a point, a statement. Will be in
Yeah.
your final thoughts. If you have a question for another panelist, the other person will not be able to answer it until it's your turn for final thoughts. So if that person already gave you final thoughts and you got a question for them, you're gonna have to wait until I say my goodbyes to the YouTube, wrap it up, and then you guys can stay here the rest of the day if you want. Final thoughts, bro Alim, you're up first.
Good show. Thanks. Just enjoying this red rain coming down from the Sahara. It's a Scirocco. It's really weird. Everything's turning red. Good show. Had a good time. Happy birthday. Boom.
Boom. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Brian Leake, final thoughts.
Okay, I challenge everybody here, and I'll come back tomorrow or the next day. Happy birthday, Jose! But I challenge everybody here to look up or either do this experiment, pull a string line 90 degrees from north on the equinox, or look up a video. You can see it. I've done it in real life, but I challenge everybody to get a globe or do it on a model and pull 90 degrees, pull a string line 90 degrees, okay, out into space, okay, from your globe, from 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south, and tell me if they're parallel, because due east is where we all see the sun on the equinox at that specific point in time, and they converge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. P4, final thoughts. Thank you. Chaik.
Yeah, good show, good show. Was a bit of proper dumpster fire. That was good. Happy birthday, Jose. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Shout out to everybody on YouTube who wished me a happy birthday. I hope it's going to be a good rest of the day. I really want to thank everybody for your support, big super chat, and just wishing me happy birthday. And I don't know, felt the good vibes with everybody. We had a little bit of a shit show at the end, but it was actually a really, I enjoyed it. Earth is Life, final thoughts.
Can you hear me, Jose?
I hear you a little low, but I hear you.
Hold on. Yeah, come back to me at the end.
All right. Gary, final thoughts.
What day will the sun rise at 90 for each of the people here? This coming up soon, here in March on the equinox. It's not the same for everybody on the same day.
March 15 is my birthday. Thank you very much. Left Lane, final thoughts. Uh-oh. Marble Merman, final thoughts.
Just happy birthday to you. That's all.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Sean Hawkins, final thoughts.
Yeah, Brian will never accept any answers if they go contrary to what he has made up in his head because his ego won't let him. He tells everyone to be humble, but he is not. His ego won't let him. He if it does, then he has to accept that he's wrong and what he's said is untrue, and he can't do that. I mean, Stingray modeled it in 3D and showed him that he's wrong, and he comes and in his final words he comes out with a challenge where the entire premise is that he didn't watch what Stingray was presenting because Stingray just showed him what will happen. And yes, the sun will come up at 90 degrees to everyone on the planet on the equinox. Everyone. 90 degrees to north. The sun will come up at that angle. Get some learning in you. Thanks. Happy birthday, Jose.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lemon Bird, final thoughts. Sean Smith, final thoughts.
Oh, hey, Jose. Can you see my screen real quick?
Yes.
Just got a little 90-degree and a circle right now. But up here, what I've got is I've got three people on a circle, okay? And we'll say that one person is at the North Pole, one is Jacksonville, Florida, and one is at the South Pole. They are all looking at the same thing, which would be the sun, which is far away. All right. You can say that they're looking directly east and they're all looking at the sun. They're never going to change, they're never going to cross over each other when they're looking at the sun because their point of convergence is the sun. The sun itself is that point of convergence. That's why we have a vanishing point. So when you say that when your line of sight is going to cross over each other, that means somebody's looking someplace else because if you're looking at the same thing, your line of sight is leading directly to it. That's about all I got. Happy birthday, Jose, and eat some cake.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Always appreciate your support and shout out to your art. Good stuff, brother. Lemon Bird, are you there for final thoughts now? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that. This freaking button. But I guess the main thing is we need to look at this very questionable theory. We already know from perspective that parallel lines will converge. So your idealized east-west grid that we'd like to superimpose into the shape of the Earth has parallel lines in that grid pattern that will appear to converge towards several different vanishing points. These vanishing points appear to be distributed along the horizon for where the sun rises and sets. So if the sun is circling overhead, the sun could theoretically pop out of or go into any one of those vanishing points along the horizon or, anywhere along that horizon. So this idea that there's some sort of due east from the rotation of the Earth becomes unnecessary and frankly absurd. It's just perspective from, the sun circling over a flat plane and popping in and out of any of the vanishing points that are on the horizon as the sun circles too far away.
Thank you very much, Lemon. Stick Spider, final thoughts. How about the other Merle?
I've been gone for a while, but I came back. My final thought is this. If I'm looking straight up and due east, there is no horizon. I'm looking up. There's no place where the land and water appear to me, or land and sky. I'm just looking straight up at the sun.
That's north.
Boom.
Thank you. Appreciate it. The Stingray, final thoughts.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jose. And I think today, I mean, even though, well, Lemon Bird purposefully constructs straw men to argue against, Brian inadvertently does so without really understanding. So I think that's just telling of what you have to be a flat earther. Cheers, Jose.
Thank you very much, Stingray. I appreciate it. And Tiny
Okay, can you hear me
Captain.
now?
Hold on. Let me get Tiny Captain and then you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. First thing is happy birthday again, Jose. And well, I think Brian will actually be able to learn anything if not everybody is attacking him, because he asked quite good questions. And to Lemmer Bird, I want to say 21, 75, 74, 93, 39, 8, 92. And if you don't know what that means, look it up at the periodic table.
Thank you very much. Wait, if I'm looking straight up, how am I going to be looking east? I'm looking straight up to the sun. That's not north either. It's just up. It's not going to be north or south or east if I'm looking straight up. How would I know what I'm looking at?
That's a good one.
I got to think of this later. Earth is life. Final thoughts.
Hey, what's up, Jose? Great show. I was just listening in the background to the excuses that Brian was giving every time we're trying to explain certain things to him.
Struggling to
I
hear
mean,
you.
how else? What? Can you hear me? Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead, man.
How is it that we're able to model these things using computer programs that exactly match our reality? And flat earthers struggle to make models to even explain one thing. I challenge Brian to look at all the things that I have sent him in his DM that he continues to ignore and explain some of those things on a flat earth. And also, I heard Gary say something crazy like the equinox is on different days for everyone. Yeah, I'd like to hear his thoughts on that. Anyway, thanks a lot, Jose. Great show. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. John Rapp say that I gotta check my PP, but I don't see anything popping up. Now, every once in a while, I get a little bit of a hiccup, and they want to hold on to something. So let me scroll up over here on the emails. On PayPal, nothing shows, but um, John Rapp, unless it's still in process, I am checking this out. Anything have but you said you sent me something. Thank you very much. It might take a little bit longer to just show up over here on the PayPal universe. Let me check one more time. Flash, shut everything down and open it back up. Nothing is showing up yet, John Rapp, but I wanna thank you anyway. Whenever it reflects on the PayPal, I'll let you know. And thank you anyway. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's support. Overwhelming happiness and see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Still, kind of. Now, if let's say I'm looking east, but I'm looking straight up, directly to the sun, he doesn't see the horizon. Wait. So how is going to be looking east and straight up at the same time? Can anybody answer me that before I get out of here? I'm confused.
Well, if you're facing east and you look straight up, you're kind of doing both, right?
Yeah, because now straight up I can go around. I can turn my body all the way around, and I'll be facing north, east, west, south, everywhere. But I'm still looking to
Yeah.
the same point, so I'm not gonna be looking east. I'm gonna be looking straight
You're,
up.
Yeah.
my point is you're looking. Okay, you're not looking at 90 degrees straight up, but you are looking straight up.
Oh, now you're
Yeah,
talking. Okay.
you could be looking at about 89 degrees or
Okay.
85 degrees, but you're
Now
looking
we're
almost
talking.
straight up. I had put up,
There is not a
I put
horizon
up,
is the point. So when Lemonberg goes off about the horizon, in that context, if I'm facing east, looking up at the sun, there is no horizon.
Right,
Okay.
like
But a
Atlanta is
horizon will
east of
generally
me.
form
Atlanta is east
because
of
an
me,
object
Jose.
above
And if
you.
I look at Atlanta
Shut
and then
up.
look
Yeah.
straight up, I'm still looking east, right?
Well,
No,
the
you're
thing
looking
is,
at the coordinate, not at an east or west. You're looking at the coordinate.
but this is why I keep on talking about the hallway, because a hallway has a
I'm
roof that is
confused.
obviously above you, and objects that are staying at the same
Guess what?
elevation
The
above
sun
you
doesn't have a
get
roof.
down toward the level of the eye. So as long as the sun, wherever it is, maintains a constant elevation, the same principle would apply, like the ceiling of the hallway, where it will eventually appear to dip down toward the observer and potentially merge with the surface or appear to.
No
Yeah, but the
hallways on
That
the
was
problem
a
beach.
lot of word
No,
salad
no
again.
hallways on the beach, Lemon. I don't see any hallways when I walk along the Pacific Ocean.
well, the
Not
You
problem
one.
see
is
the same principle, Sean, because the sun appears to be staying at the same elevation along.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. It has been another very entertaining, excellent show, for real. I enjoyed everybody's birthday wishes. I enjoyed your support big time. Thank you so much. John Rapp is small issue in there. It didn't get reflected over here on the PayPal on me. Hopefully, if you send me something, hopefully it will be showing up. And everybody can jump into the Discord server. There's still a bunch of people there. There is a bunch of people there, and there is festivities going. Jump in there, hang out with everybody else. Have fun, everybody. Stay out of trouble and be safe. This has been Jose J.G. Gonzalez, and I say one last time, boom. Happy birthday to me.